Oh, it's gorgeous outside.
We're gonna do an explanation as we get closer.
Is Tempe's that shopping center convention is? I'll take a check.
It's safe.
I don't. I'm leaving for a couple times this year. I never leave the island. I can't afford it. Once it just works out, I'm shooting every
No, I brought it better.
So.
Life doing good? Kids ready for school to be out? Yeah.
Very ready now that.
Well, hopefully that training they're working with can get it taken care of, because that'd be a bummer to do all this and find out, oh, it looks like we can't do it.
That's one thing that like.
I got selected. I started on Monday. Got selected for the class starting Monday.
That's what I just said.
Okay.
Right.
He doesn't have uniforms. That's going to be
Yeah.
With the eternal clear.
We had a
Sure.
lake right there by the practice and
You don't have that darn
go
person.
laterally, go up to the lake and back.
Well, Chris isn't sitting next to me, you know, he's in charge of the water. I mean, I don't know what
In
else.
charge of the water.
Yeah, making sure.
Yeah, no
everything-
problem. I might have gotten a workplace injury there, though.
File claim, HR is sitting right here.
Now,
There you go. There's your gavel. So, good afternoon. As it is 1 p.m., we'll call this Oak Harbor Special Workshop of May 15th to order. We welcome this opportunity for the council to engage with city staff in a productive discussion to review, modify, and provide staff with direction in regard to citywide priorities. This meeting is open to the public, but public comment will not be taken. I'd like to take a moment to thank our staff for their time in putting this together. Today we are using a new technology tool called an OWL. The OWL is a voice-activated camera and microphone. It will film whoever is speaking. For us to get the optimal results out of this technology, it is important that we do not talk all at once and that we don't have too many sidebar conversations, as these will be picked up by the microphone, which is always on. Following our retreat meeting, the council wanted more time as a group to discuss their priorities and provide input. I believe the concept of overarching priorities is a good one as it groups related priorities and projects. This helps us to see not only the individual ideas, but also the bigger picture of how they fit together or overlap. What we are hoping to achieve today is a clear and concise list of council's top priority projects and or goals to aid staff in preparing the next 2025-2026 biennial budget and capital improvements plan. Things to consider in prioritizing are immediacy of needs, budgetary restrictions, cost, and staffing, as well as sequencing. In reviewing the council's past input, we put together overarching priority areas. We're going to have an activity to prioritize the projects within each category. If this were a game show, I'd tell you the categories are employees, infrastructure, facilities, central development area, quality of life, safety, other. We will then take a break to allow staff to tally your results. After the break, we will review your results and have an opportunity for council and staff to discuss the categories and projects in more detail. And at this time, I will now turn it over to Sabrina to kind of go over the process and how we're going to go about doing this.
Thank you, Mayor. So you have some cards in front of you if you are a council member, and those cards have information on them, so they're broken out into categories. So you have 10 minutes per category to evaluate, score, and discard priorities. The list of priorities provided include past, current, and new priorities that may be added. Council members will review the cards for each category within the time frame and decide whether to either write a priority number on the back of the description card, one being the first item you want to staff to address. For example, 1 is the first priority, 2 is the second, etc. Discard cards if you feel the item listed should not be considered a priority by the city. And then you have wild cards. You have 3 new projects that you can add to the overarching priorities, and you only have 3 for all of the different categories. So there are items you may want to include. If you want to add an item, you need to number the item within the list of priorities for that category you're adding it to. So this is your activity. We wanted to take a step back and make sure you had time to do an activity. And then there are 6 categories total. So after each category, we will have time, we will do some discussion time to complete the cards. They'll be turned into Mikhail, who's over there, after each run. And at that point, what she'll do is tally them into a spreadsheet, then we'll take a break after we do this exercise. She's gonna finish the tallying, and then we're gonna share those tallies with you, and then we'll go through a detailed discussion with staff about how we want to move those forward. So the first one we're gonna do is, category 1 is employees. You will now have 10 minutes. Julie's gonna start the clock when I say to, and you will prioritize the gray bordered cards that you have in front of you. Does everybody have your gray cards? And for staff, you have a stack to follow along.
And you want us to do all of these?
Just the gray,
Just
just
the
the
gray.
gray for right now, employees, only gray employees.
Got it.
So if you look at those cards, on the front, you have the item and the description for the project. Then on the back, you have a place where you can number. And that is you sorting them into a priority set. I have Sharpies.
You give them Sharpies?
No, we didn't give them Sharpies, but we can give Sharpies.
I would give Sharpies. They're just easier to show up on the cards.
Can I get a purple one? Just kidding.
Really?
You're not seeing this one. Oh.
Okay. I think we got
I
it.
was teasing. Thank you.
You want a black shirt?
I'll take it.
Remember, you have wild cards.
So,
Yeah, I just have a
can we
pencil.
use a
You can
pen?
use a regular pen if you like a regular pen. But, just in case.
I need to read.
So any questions before we start?
If you have all 3 great cards, how much is it to go to the hotel morale?
Okay, so I'm gonna have Julie start the clock. And you also can phone a staff member in the sense that you can ask a staff member if you have some questions. So, Julie, start the clock.
Countdown.
10 minutes for 3 items. You say 10 minutes for 3 items?
Now, you have 10 minutes.
could do some meditation.
This stack might be easier. Some of them are gonna be shorter than
Fair.
others.
Could do some meditation. Oh, wait, there was a facility that I could do that at. That's guided.
I don't have any cards. It's okay. It doesn't really, it doesn't matter.
No, you should have still the same. Yeah. How did that happen though? They're smarter than he's got a random pack on his card.
What?
This is worse than you.
You too? You just Derek does too, right? So it does on one side.
It says employees and
And then it's gonna type on the back of it.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
What happens when you copy? The title on one of the employees' cards still says facilities. When you flip it over, it's correct on the front side, but.
That was a test. You passed.
And if we are all, I mean,
Good
if
job.
we're all done, we don't take a full 10 minutes.
Yes, correct.
Extra
Everybody's-
credit for
I'm
you.
just making
I just
sure
wrote it
it's
down.
explained.
Yeah, I get that.
then, good. 2 stars or 1?
Just one right there.
Okay.
The purple pen request took 1 off.
It's the high school colors. I mean, it's ordered.
Could happen.
I mean, some of you are gonna be faster. Done, done, done. I'm just checking for who's done. Like a classroom, look at me when you're finished. Pencils down.
Yeah.
I never know what that though, because sometimes when
What
people
is
think
HR's thoughts on
Council member Hopper, I can send it to you.
So,
do you? Is there a way to cheat?
you want everybody to be happy, however, nobody's ever.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking. I got it.
So it's kind of like,
Sorry, I'm so worried.
You're fine. Know that you have 10 minutes. Don't be sorry.
it's the one I don't even.
This is your time.
So Sabrina, do you think we should see Al
It feels
right
loaded.
now?
I can't see it up on the screen, but yeah, it's probably watching people.
She and I have talked a couple.
The disconnect?
She's already in there doing
Oh, do you need us to do something
Things
to
making
make
this
it
in,
not
because all the
sleepy?
people, somebody.
Hit it. Water bottle.
We're excited.
That has
What
to
do you
be
need me to do,
HR's
Michael?
job pretty much, huh?
What do you need?
Wake it up?
The owl is on, which is like.
Oh, we need to turn off the, oh, here we go. There goes Steve.
This is just training for him. He's fine.
Hey Tim, what's your password?
Omicron.
Almost shouted out. It's super reliable. People absolutely. I noticed right as you said that, Sabrina gave me death daggers, like, don't say it out
I
loud.
swear it wasn't death daggers, but it is a test, and you all passed.
Uh-oh, careful.
Only one guy under the table at a time.
This is the joy of using new technology.
Definitely Coast Guard. That was not a very solid army crawl.
We use one of these for the marriage agency meetings in Mount Vernon, and it works really well.
Yeah, it's really cool. We were testing it yesterday, and we learned that if the windows are open, it's hard to find the person talking because it's a shadow
Oh, yeah.
effect with the sun glare. Yeah.
I like this layout for these formats. Thank you for doing this.
Yes, thank you.
We are working on some improvements, and we love these skinny tables that we borrowed from PD.
Yeah, these are great.
Otherwise, they wouldn't fit.
We need
Because it
better,
wouldn't fit otherwise, and that was our struggle before.
we need better chairs though.
Yes.
Yes.
My priorities.
That is a second layer to solve the table fitting problem.
This is a big move though. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, appreciate that effort.
Jim needs a new chair first. That was Dan Evans' chair before. That chair's sold.
Well, what happens at the school is I'm the one who doesn't show up all the time. Somebody switches out.
I sat in it. No, I haven't switched them out since Barbara
Once we
took the really
figure out what
bad
we're,
habit.
yeah. and it'll be-
Yeah, well,
We
these
have to
guys
get
are moving chairs around.
Yeah.
But I sat in
Freshman
yours
gets
last
the worst chair.
It'll be really
and I
cool.
literally was shorter than Tara in the seats.
That's saying free will.
Julie, how much longer do we have?
We have just shy of 5 more minutes.
I'm
About
done
5 minutes.
with the employees.
Is everybody done?
With that section, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If everybody's good, all right. Then we are going to collect the cards. I'm gonna do that real quick. Technology fun. Cards, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Are there names on them?
Nope.
It's anonymous,
They're just not-
except for the purple.
I mean, my handwriting's pretty crummy. It's pretty obvious.
I thought we were putting 1, 2, or 3. You know?
All right. So for category 2, we have infrastructure. So you now have 10 minutes to prioritize the orange bordered infrastructure cards. Everybody find your orange cards and hold them up. Make sure everybody's got them. Okay. All right. So Julie, start your clock, please.
It's going.
Come up with a consensus right now. What do you want us to do on Northeast 7th since it's getting done?
Huh?
What do you want us to do on Northeast 7th since they're doing it?
We're doing it, but it's still a priority because it's in process and we're just starting it. We wanted to make sure it wasn't taken out of the staff.
Perfect.
Some of those are kind of hard because we're starting them, but they're not fully completed, and yeah, we don't want to lose track of some of those projects under those highlighted items, those categories.
It's in both. Exactly.
Just to clarify, we have to do 1, 2, 3, whatever, in order. We can't have like 3 of one category that are all of first priority. We're prioritizing each category.
We're prioritizing each one, yeah.
No, it's not fair.
I know it'd be nice to make everything number 1 sometimes.
Right, yeah. A whole stack of number ones.
You have Northeast 7th on here twice.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Well, yeah, these
Just
are
an
roadway
example.
projects and it's
And it's under, and it's.
Oh, I think we meant to pull the one, so yeah, sorry for that.
Which one were you gonna pull?
the Northeast 7 specifically, because we just
Just
have
the
programming.
standalone.
Yeah, so just discard that one.
Oh, discard the scandal.
I already burned that card.
Because that's what I already did. Okay.
Yep, I already took
So
it.
you don't want us to use the Northeast 7 standalone?
No, because it's just the Rotary project. Sorry, we thought we got that one.
Because it's included on another.
Now we have to
Okay,
redo the
well, there
numbers.
you go, this is why I needed a pencil.
Did McCallum and I, not really. It did go
We
pretty
needed
ham
to
though.
redo
This is why none of us have ever invited to
Okay,
game
I gotta
shows.
No,
redo
we're
this.
not. Now we
Maybe it's
have
why
to,
I don't create game shows.
now we
You
have
did
to
fine.
rewrite our.
Just teasing.
You know, I mean, it's kind of hard to do this. Too many cards.
No, I do a lot of cards too. It's like 30.
I did that last year.
Yeah.
Okay. I think.
How many are there? Why do I feel like I'm missing one?
1, 2, 3, 4,
Okay.
5. Okay, that's fine.
And remember, you can always discard at any time if there's a project that you're like,
Oh, so if we don't care, we can just chuck it.
yeah, remember, this card is the only option we have. But you can also add something if there's a project
Try
that
not to put on
you,
an eye.
infrastructure related that you're like, ooh.
We could have, I played cards
Yeah,
all
right.
last week. Why don't I playing cards?
Oh,
Take
no.
one team if I have to.
This
I
is,
keep your stance on it.
this is confusing.
Yeah. I think
Yeah, that would be
Too many
I know you're
double
not.
eyes.
that was the shittiness and how it went down. And you guys approved it anyway, so we'll go from there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have TPI.
Well, thank you, Dan.
I just took your project
So
map
good.
Sure you're done?
because that was the
About
easiest to
doing
just
something.
talk about the current.
I can't count, okay?
I did not say that.
Fair.
Oh, yes, yeah, I get it, you're split, yeah.
If we don't care.
But I also want to do it because it's probably education.
Okay, you're all in.
Now,
Okay. So we are now on to category 3, facilities. Now in this category, we do have some special notations. Things like the City Hall and PD roof are marked urgent because there is some urgency with those items. So you have 10 minutes. These cards have a border in purple. And start.
So, I guess to preface, the facilities, the roofs for the 2 buildings, whatever you guys decide, we will be having more discussion around those anyway, because there is a sense of urgency with those things.
Yeah, kind of like, we just do asterisks with those and implying that they're important. We know that they need to be
We marked them
discussed.
urgent on them so that you guys could see that.
Right, we're not
Apparently,
gonna
we
stake
just
this
need
one.
roofing
I
company.
was saying, you said you can ask a question, so when you say urgent, can you help quantify that?
It says on the card, I believe that it's 12, within the next 12 months, we need to do City Hall. PD is not far from doing.
But when you say that,
The building's brand new. I mean, it's 30 years old, but it's
why?
like brand new.
Is it, I mean, is it leaking current?
Patches, leaks.
You see the blue tarp?
I know that one, I'm more curious about the
Makes
police.
sense. I guess it's
I'm more curious about the police station. Is the police station leaking?
Long term.
There are, yes, there are some.
Is the roof leaking?
There are some spots.
If it's just like, ooh, we're getting close, that's a different conversation.
And we have reports from the company that came out and gave us reports.
And they gave us rating scales.
So we have, yes, we have now information.
And the other thing is that, just to clarify, you'll see on the cards, for PD and for the police department and for City Hall, we do not have a replacement fund. There is a replacement fund for the city shop roof. Just for the roofs.
I thought we already had the fire station. Where's the fire station?
Stations for, yeah, they're each for different stations.
And with that higher TPI,
Yeah, I know,
it's good to
but
see there's
It used to be, I did
you
have
know, the actual funding and how it hits each year. And then they show the deficit or surplus at the bottom. Sometimes that could be, there's
Too many cards.
how much discussion we would have, you know, what to do about it. You know, so for example, 7347 deficit. Overall, so they just move money from one year to the other as well.
just those the police cards, so it doesn't make sense to pay for a new roof.
It's good, they show all 6 years, they show the financial, they show, they give us 4 million comes in each year, they'll show 1.4 million each year, and they'll show whether the obligations are more than what they usually get to pull from.
Chief's what
Chief's, oh. Do you happen to know how many square foot the police station is? How many square feet?
I can look it up really quick.
That'd be great, thank you.
Do you guys really need a roof?
You and I might need that.
Convertible.
They need a
State
full
open
roof.
air.
How
Open air
How do
state.
they get out?
I can live on a building, I just want to hold it.
Seriously though, yeah.
So the same with this
Yeah, but
one.
it's gonna take, we're gonna have to do a roof just to get by, so we
Do
can,
it in an open air concept.
because we don't have a facility to put them in the meantime. Let's see here.
And I can use them more every minute.
Which roof is worse?
And I'm not saying that I work at City Hall.
I was trying to get, yeah, I was trying to.
It's got a red marker to it versus an orange.
Oh, okay, okay.
Your, in the report she'll see.
I did notice the drinking fountain's out, and that's top priority for me. And I guess
You don't like our water feature display?
you know, you could like get the Arts Commission to decorate
Put
it.
some fish on it and make it.
It's a creative solution, right? It's a very ingenious.
I got a lot for the don't care pile.
I just numbered them, you know, I just, since they wanted a number, I decided to number them.
If you're done, I'll take your cards.
We're still having problems. I'm not done. I couldn't get my cards in order. They were having technical difficulties. I don't know what I numbered anymore. Okay,
Yeah, I'm here. Oh, thank you.
I gave up 2 cards in one pile. I agree. Terry looked like he was one that I could run in.
So make sure once the credit card department and they buy cards.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Then we have to worry about that.
That's what the
Six Texas Hold'em hard.
6 cards. I didn't realize about that.
Yeah.
My husband's card.
5 minutes to go.
What's going on at all?
Right. This was the biggest stack, right?
No, doesn't look like
I
that way.
believe so. I think the others are a little shorter.
The green is,
The CDA is pretty big.
When you see them on a chart, it's harder to.
the green I've
This
got
one had
all
like
over
a lot.
years.
You're thinking of through, huh?
Yeah, I am.
Real close.
How far did I get your shot?
It's right here.
I knew I was
I didn't
gonna
realize,
say
I didn't realize you were going around yet.
No, it's okay. I knew I got a couple, but I wasn't sure I got everything. Just making sure. Yeah.
Let's discuss which one.
And the next one. Sabrina,
Which two?
what's this one? Is that
That's that multifamily tax exemption credit, so a percentage of those properties will be allocated to the CDA.
Councilmember Heisen, it's about
And we have a map
22,
we're gonna show you.
it's about 22,000 square feet. Police department, that is, the police department
If
icon
we
is the
decide to move
entire
forward with that program,
facility.
a number of those.
That's with
units
Icon
will
included,
offset
right?
That's what
about
it is.
400 that we're required to do.
Okay.
Okay, that's what that is. Okay, thank you.
Tara.
Yeah, it would be the purchase.
I just did the math. I was just doing math.
And I.
Jim, you know better than me.
Probably
The two
doesn't hurt
parcels
to
on-
get in there together.
Two parcels on Pioneer, those are the ones, we talk about the ones that are next to parcels we bought.
Linex, just the Linex.
No,
22,000 square
purchase
Yes,
two
thank
parcels,
you.
oh,
Yeah.
two random parcels, okay.
Yeah, so this is the 1090, 1091, I believe.
Yeah, so does the
Yeah,
gas station.
1081, 1091.
But you have that
No, but
here.
it's combined, the whole property.
So,
Oh, so it's additional, yes, sorry.
but are these talking about
Right, space.
more plots next to these? 'Cause those are
More
already,
plots in general on the
kind of
property.
like, those are already spoken for.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Well, if they have.
Here.
Okay. All the iron pipes are broken anyways.
Yeah, that's what I'm-
building, so can't use half of that.
Which two parcels?
We got it.
They don't have, they didn't specify.
Yeah.
I just did, she was right here and answered it.
Okay, so next we are moving on to category 4,
She
social
said that
development
there are
area, also known
any
as
parcels
CDA.
that exist.
That is the green border cards.
Yeah, at least
And
that's,
Julie is starting the clock for 10 minutes. Yep.
just, I have a stack of things I'm just pitching, to be honest. I don't, if it's something I don't care about, I'm not just gonna put numbers to it.
Oh, now.
No, they said pitch it if you don't
And don't
care.
forget your wild cards. So if there's something you want to add,
Okay.
you just have to tell us what it is. Yeah. But apparently, according to Uno, you can't use the draw two computers. They actually came out and said that.
Does anybody know which two properties? I'm assuming behind the Chevy dealer or something.
Came back in the afternoon.
Yeah, yeah. I think the site. Are we allowed to know the answer to this, or would it screw up stuff if people know?
No, it's fine if you know, it's just, do you want us to purchase additional property? So that's,
And in what vicinity?
we're not being specific, no.
It was very exciting.
Is there a vicinity, like close to the?
In the
drive, close to
CDA, so
park,
the
or-
CDA area.
Okay.
So that's up Midway, all the way to State Route 20, down Pioneer,
Highway
yeah.
itself.
But Marina is not included in that. Oh, yeah, she has a map.
It's the outer triangle.
We didn't pass out these lessons, we
Anyway.
didn't have a lot of them, but.
You know how they're
Do you want to see
downtown Seattle, you know how they're
We didn't
redoing all the
have access to
landscape and
CPA.
looking up there, it's still pretty dressed up. They're beautiful.
And then that's with my property.
Anyway, these are awesome, aren't they? They have these, you know, landscape areas.
My brain was.
And so this is where you'll be able to walk and
You think I have a system? Yeah, I don't.
But all of Midway.
Now we have a, we have something else.
just anybody can, here, here's the aquarium.
Somebody because of my property. Well, we're right behind.
Somebody had chatted with them about
I finished with the cards. I remember those.
Then he's gonna want.
I
If he offers top dollar.
Or Ollie.
Oh,
We've
Ollie's
talked
the
about
bomb.
talking about it. There's just no way Mal wants to do it.
You have stickers of Ollie?
Ways and
We're getting stickers made.
Oh, they with him with like
I need a sticker.
police outfit.
I need a sticker. I want an Ollie.
Actually, a little more
I want
challenging
an
because
Ollie.
it doesn't really
I'm gonna complain if I don't get one.
super
For
bad.
us to quit telling people what to do.
I'll pay for it. I will.
Yeah.
I can carry him around in my car.
I don't know what else the city can do other than. Make redevelopment more sense. I've got to be honest with you.
I guess to let you.
An existing
You're really having a day, aren't you?
Yeah.
Number line, no matter.
See, I don't. There's so many things that I just don't care about. I don't want to sign up for
cracking down on the free press
we
on
came
certain
in
stuff.
kind of like last time. We got to
Some author and
We're not all on the
I
same
tried.
page.
Well, I tried to. The ones that I wasn't in. You know,
Do we have an issue with that?
Well, there's less interest in there's like
Next year, I want Those ones are more of a sometimes of the other guys. There've been like some strife in their company to divert their attention. I don't think so. And I like to make sure that
But I would, we have the cards.
I still prefer this to the priorities we had. You just put them over your head. Should be counted. We understand we changing this because we need to clear it.
get the parking and then facing the water.
Maybe. I haven't decided. Maybe I want to insert one later.
Kind of, I get confused. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm about as done as, yes, you do. Yeah, I'm telling you, you need to remark them.
No, I checked a bunch of them.
Work on the green area or not?
We got one more? Ew.
Mary, you know everybody? Okay, alright. Then I'm gonna move on to category 5, which is the yellow bordered, which is quality of life, safety. So this may have some items related to police, may have some items related to recreation. And I know we were struggling with the definition of quality of life and safety, but we expanded those because before it was quality/safety, and that was a little confusing.
Can they,
You're
pitting me and Tony against each other?
Yeah, I got this little box.
I will break out my police mascot and your Seahawks, and we will take a mascot war.
Oh, I just want to see one just tackle.
Can I referee?
Right, who's getting a hater first? That's what I want.
The you gotta have a hater.
That's
I
all.
was gonna say, I wanna know who's gonna figure it out first.
Well, I will be
Like,
can't we all put just one on all of them?
No, they
That's
no,
not-
that's
What
the
do you
point.
mean? No.
That's the point. You have to prioritize.
Well, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, it
That could be
does.
somebody's wild card item.
What, a cater for the Parks and Rec Department?
I guess you're gonna
Parks and
have
Rec
to.
gator, I want that, for the parade.
Like a side-by-side or an alligator? There we go. I just want to confirm, wild animal? Does this fall under animal control?
Yeah, this one is a no-brainer anyway. It should be, so we have to.
I don't know. Should I change my mind? Okay.
That was pretty easy.
It's okay.
And I'm trying to see some.
Well, you're busy.
Almost. Come back around.
I know. Well, I wanted to put one on everything, but the mayor wouldn't let me.
Sorry.
He was being,
The definition of prioritizing is making hard decisions.
I thought she was still.
So we need to get 3 per category?
No, they get 3 total across all categories.
Well, this can be fun.
So,
That's tough.
It is.
because I think on
But
the
this
document.
point of prioritizing is.
Well, yeah, I mean, the recreation program, naturally,
I used it.
Maybe that's a
But not all recreation would use a park.
I'm not disagreeing, I just wrote it.
Especially after having a conversation with Taylor Crawford.
So you're down to the last
He's all
category.
Absolutely.
This is category 6, other. It is orders of bread,
This one, oh, okay, it's owned by the city now.
and you have 10 minutes. I noticed that, Mikhail, I thought maybe it was a choice.
oh, I have 2 on Tony.
This is also a good time to get it out.
I got my discard pile right here.
Oops, are we gonna bomb it together?
Chance to use them, right?
That was at the bottom, yeah.
I'm only on 1.
But put me more, only the other.
Using 1 this time. I've been sitting next to Stucky too long, okay, I'm sorry.
I
don't even know where.
Yeah,
These are dial a friend.
yeah, dial a friend. Well, since
These
he
two are
didn't like some, I
conspiring.
feel like.
Everybody's having a phone and friend conversation. I'm fine.
I think they're trying to make you wear a tie.
No, that's not gonna happen.
It's about on the other
I
end.
think we're talking about going the other way. So what can I say? I didn't like it.
I kind of assumed the wild card was going to last.
So you like it?
Well, I mean, I don't.
You're right, though. I mean, the ones that
We're really playing the game. Your water tax is gonna be moved out into space. You do that, I'm gonna do my aquarium. I'm bringing it off. I didn't know if there was gonna be some more of the madness, and so I.
Yeah, that's fine.
Eric, did you do one?
I suggested that she write this as well.
I had made a couple copies, but it's not enough for everybody.
The water tax is actually
I made a list since I was.
They print off the internet, it's right there.
Well, I know, but, I was fixing today. I didn't put, I mean, I thought it was gonna be on here.
Just to be quicker.
It's not about the
I had to.
it's more about recipe connection, right? Whether there be a water tax,
Oh, I'm still waiting. They're working on it.
extended dock between, the mini harbor.
Old ferry boat with a guy on a raft and a stick.
That would work too, physical connection.
Jim's gonna fund it, right? You're gonna fund it.
I still think I hear the industry.
No, I've used it. Really? I've seen it in print before, but maybe it's not
I'm still
textual.
I don't remember what the category is.
It might not be. If you start showing up,
Yeah, Jerry's working on some wild cards, so just give me a few more minutes.
I would never do that, only to work.
Wild cards. If you didn't submit them or you want to add some, here's your 5 minutes
I'm down.
to do wild card.
What have we already did?
Some of you may not have used them, but this is your chance. And remember, the recreation.
I switched to an otter sanctuary.
Gator is up as an option. Not that I'm trying to favor anything.
What did you just say?
Say that again, sorry.
I'm happy.
Make sure it's electric.
There's anything I want.
I fixed some of those issues.
You could,
Getting beat up on line.
you could buy the building next door from Bill and be a hero. I like the one he was doing by leasing it for 3 years and make it worth a lot more money.
Didn't we talk about the
Well, we gotta get
No, I know.
before we start.
It's just, I do wonder if they could put a privacy fence on like 2 sides that doesn't limit the PD.
It's because we don't have a city, we need to create a city. I talked to Hillary about it. We need to create a city.
I'm letting Tony have a few more days.
What I do?
Talking about over there by the school. Yeah, they need to do something. I don't know if it's a privacy fence on 2 sides that doesn't impede you, or if we need to buy the building, or what.
I think it's going to a spring needs ordinance and telling them this is the problem, this is what everybody is.
Even once an hour at least.
Directors
Well, it has to be in the city. Right now, we have a record
I don't even want to report
That's,
the
and we're
truck
gonna have to take care of
in
it,
the dumpster because I don't want it to be in the paper.
because the traffic is gonna be there. You know, that on that side, even if they don't allow that.
There's a new one down in the back.
But you've got all that.
It might after it gets to the station.
Not just
Down
that,
there.
it's because we've been down south.
You would have a, you get the tools for
Are they truly being brought in from off island, or is that a?
There's maybe 5 that we
They already did
got
that.
last year.
So
It's not true.
I like the trouble.
try that.
We know of a recent and we correct.
There was just multiple overdoses 2 days ago. Did they
Down
live?
to
I guess that's good. I think about it.
2 of them had to have Narcan, 1 officer.
Wildlife is
2 people Narcan at the same time.
They have one in Fort Townsend too.
That was behind 7-Eleven.
Sorry, Julie, I'm doing your job.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's good. Do a road task force.
Can we just make that
I'm
like
gonna send a city council member, all the directors.
Wait, I'm
They
done.
just got a bust of 14 programs of fentanyl.
unless you've got other priorities.
It's an Honduras group that's pushing it, everyone's on the island.
Okay. Yeah.
You're not wild.
I need that dog.
Okay.
for different things than we thought.
I think they've got you covered.
No, I think we'll find out.
Sabrina, can you remind me what the, yeah, I know, we have one marina one under
Dogs
facilities. Can you
affected
remind
at
me
sweeping
what?
parks and stuff for now?
There was an extra marina in downtown,
And the other is the phased project.
We need to, if we're gonna get a federal,
just redeveloping and doing
Yeah, you can take
all of it.
Yep, yep.
now it's all doing this.
Sounds like things, if they probably bring them in drones and trucks and everything across the border, there's probably no shutting it down.
Maybe, you know, maybe they could have great chances or something. Yeah, there you go.
Part of it.
Well, no, technically on the thing, well, there is a bakery that applies to go in the eye clinic on Highway 20. Terrible location. I don't see how it could. I don't see how it would work.
Oh, crazy.
Really?
Well, yeah, they applied for a permit. They went to the hearing examiner, but I don't see how it could. I mean, the location's such a crappy location. It's the same thing as like the dental office and stuff. Like,
Previous mayors, yeah.
there's no parking. There's no.
Well, the thing is, you're gonna get your teeth done, you're gonna get those. Or you're gonna, you're right, you're gonna go to the dentist.
Yeah, that last night season opener, they got beat. Yes, I'm.
I've had a crush on Tyler Legends for like 15 years. It's beautiful.
But we were leading the whole last period.
West Pioneer or? I didn't see it on there. I didn't see it on there.
I guess, I didn't have any.
I think it's aluminum.
So do I have everyone's stuff now? Everyone has been heard, they have everything they
It's
wanted.
fabulous.
Okay.
This is a good method.
I think we're done.
So with that, I just want to thank council for giving us your scores. We are now going to take a short break, about 20 minutes, so that Mikhail can finish her tallying and printing. And while we're doing that, you can chat with staff. There's some light refreshments in the conference room.
Go to
And
Mod
so-
Pizza.
And vitamin D out front. And there's vitamin D out front.
What?
Vitamin D out front.
Oh, yes, that
Great,
is not-
you know, I think
Thank
that
you for
Seminole
providing
would
that
be
information.
Thank you, Mikhail, for taking the time to tally all those things. I think you're gonna move the discussion or council vote. We're gonna now discuss the spreadsheet. Staff is available to respond to questions as well as ask questions or seek clarification from you guys. This is just a guideline, it doesn't even have to stick to it, but we've kind of allotted 15 minutes to each category to have a discussion in each category, so an hour-long discussion, but if we need more time, obviously we'll take it.
We added a cushion in case things went over.
Yeah, so with that, I'm gonna turn it back over to Sabrina to lead us through.
Okay, so for the overarching priorities, you should have this sheet.
This one, okay.
Just gonna use the visual. I believe Tim was trying to pull it up too.
It's all right.
The one you're working on. It's the one, yeah, just one.
It starts with CDA at the top.
The lower number
is
more prioritized.
So, as you can see, what we're seeing for the ranking is that connecting downtown and marina, then moving bus barns, additional restrooms, future planning at City Beach to SR20, 1091 and 1081 properties, buy properties, additional properties, multifamily tax exemption credits, then the food truck courts, parking research project, Chimes Corner, and Midway. So I'm going to open that up for council discussion. Questions, comments?
Well, I guess the question would be, the next step of this process, are we looking at removing some of the lower denomination? Are we looking at, you know, adjusting based on low-hanging fruit here? I mean, are we taking these priorities literally and saying, this is number one, this is number two, this is number three based from this list, or are we just looking to create that general priority list and this is an exercise to figure out what priorities may vet out versus staying on the board?
So our goal for staff is to make a list, and what we're going to create is, which I'll go into a little more detail in a bit, is a bingo card. And that bingo card is what we're calling it, is going to list under each category these projects that we're talking about. And we're going to stick to those top 5, and then what we're going to be able to do as a visual representation for the community is check those off as we're going through them. So we really want to list those items that we're going to be able to work through as projects, and focus on those top ones that you have as priorities. So if you're saying, say, for instance, connecting downtown and marina is number 1, then that's the first one in that first box under central development area. And then the next one would be moving bus barns. The next one would be additional restrooms, et cetera, et cetera. So we would go through that so that it's prioritized for staff to understand where council wants us to focus our staff time and our attention.
I don't think we're suggesting you have to remove anything off of here, because the number is 35, you had 32 last year, you're right in line with where you were last year.
Okay.
Again, this was just to give everyone a visual aid to see this is what's most important to you guys. In turn, we're communicating that to staff, and then we're also going to direct our resources financially when we go through the budget process to these things and the priorities that you set. Does that make sense?
It does. I still would like to see some of these come off. For example, I had never heard parking research project till today. I don't remember council talking about parking research project. So some of these I think should come off.
And we can absolutely do that. Again, this is your process. We're
Sure.
listing them all out, and then we can start. So like in the first CDA category, the projects, are there things on there that you guys would want to remove, or you want to keep all those things like on the visual?
I would say, for me personally, the two that are at 40, I would like to see removed. Parking research project and Chimes Corner and Midway.
Well, I think food truck courts is a little premature with us just now refreshing our food truck laws. I think we have to vet out what we've got already, let that run before we you know, so I think, you know, sending staff on a wild goose chase looking at food truck court options before we even know if that's something that our community could support might not be, in my mind, something we should have prioritized.
But they just put that
I think it would be helpful if we had some more information on some of these, like the research project. I don't even know what that is. It sounds interesting. I want to hear more about it. But and like the Chimes Corner, that's stuff that we don't. Some of us don't even know where that came from or what it is.
David Poole can give us an update on the parking research.
That would be great.
So yes, if you're ready right now, I can explain what the parking research project is about.
That would be great.
We have been in touch with the students and the faculty advisors at Western Washington and Bellingham. And we're working with them to do a project where they'll do a student intern down here this summer to look at parking reductions in residential areas. And we found that a lot of the affordable housing problems we've had is because we don't have the requirements that fit affordable housing. So we felt if we reduce parking, somehow we can help reduce the cost of housing and allow some people to park on the street. So the students will do a project to help analyze that for us, and they'll get credit. And then they're going to take this research that they do this summer and put that into a college class in January. And so January through March, the students will study what they've come up with here in Oak Harbor and come back with the results for us to help analyze parking.
That's great. Yeah, that would be fascinating. That's one of the things that's come up in our planning discussions is, like should we design parking the way we've always designed parking, and how many, just asphalt for days lots do we have in town that are, way bigger than we need, and what should we look at? So I feel like that's, whether or not it ends up being its own priority, definitely an integral part of the puzzle as we're looking at planning solutions. So thank you. That sounds really cool.
Councilmember Arms, yeah.
I have two things, and I agree with Jim on the food court right now, the food truck court. I think that it's a little premature. We've just started it. I think that we have other priorities instead of that. And addressing the parking, my thing is, if you're trying to get parking on the street, you go to O'Leary and Woodby, you are in a mess. You can barely see to turn either way because we've got so much parking on that side street because there isn't enough on those housing. So that's well, the bus got hit there. The bus hit somebody, because when they're coming down Regatta, somebody pulled out in front. You can barely see half the time. So my question is, a lot of parking on the street, it obstructs views, and people, it's an accident waiting to happen again. So that's my two comments.
Okay, so and I think Brian Smith has a comment about the food trucks, right?
Other than the increased discussion and interest in food trucks, we're also looking with current development projects. We have opportunity to renovate or reconfigure some of the parts like how Ramley Plaza into a possible food truck court space. So I think that's why that might have come forward.
That's fine. That's, at least we know why what's coming forward. It's just not random. Thank you.
Any other comments on this section?
Two things. One, and it bleeds more into the other categories. I'm very much, when it comes to goal, about things that are, Mark points out, he uses the word tangible. I mean, I'm all about, when I had no idea what this was going to be. So I took the list we had, which I constantly asked for this list, checked off the ones that are done, checked off the ones that are tangible, and find out what we're left with. So, it bleeds more, not so much into this, but into the future with the tangible aspect. Secondly, I'm just curious, in regards to my fellow council members, really? Moving the bus barns, you put that high up, more than what we're going to do with the properties downtown and everything like that? What was the motivation for? Because I ranked that, I didn't even fill out the card. So I'm just curious, my colleagues, why was that ranked in your guys so much higher than all the other stuff? I mean, what am I missing here?
Because that would free up the stadium for sports things, the stadium with locker rooms and concessions and lights and bleachers, and where there's such a shortage of sports. I think that's I figured there was a reason. There's a better
I'm not
use for that
criticizing it. I'm
space.
just I don't get it. Why does that take priority over all the other stuff?
Having a lit up stadium is a tangible thing.
That's fair.
I guess I just have one last comment just about the process. So what I'm hearing is, food truck courts is actually kind of in process. It's a now moment item, right? And the reality is we're setting some overarching priorities, right? Which are kind of, I guess, futuristic looking. Does that stay or that go? I mean, if we're doing it, it's obviously important enough to be being done, right? But does that mean it's a council priority, right? And,
agree.
So again, I just want to make sure that let's face it, we're not telling staff this is what you're going to do this year, and we're not giving a list of the 1,000 items we expect them to complete this year. We're creating this list of overarching priorities, and I think we're all in favor of where you got to think. A lot of us, I don't want to speak for the rest of the council, but a lot of us are all in favor of seeing where this food truck thing takes us, right? I mean, we're kind of excited. This is kind of a new Wild West for us, right? To see where this goes, and I think thinking ahead in redevelopment, especially of what you got going, Brian, with that Howard Maley Park, with that being right next to our ball fields, our park, and all that stuff going on around there, and it being in our downtown core and stuff. I think it makes a lot of sense to be thinking about that facility during the redevelopment to create that potential for that. But again, is that a council priority, or is that something that Parks is currently working on because they've got the vision also? That's, I guess.
And I'll just add the caveat. I don't know for sure that that's why that was put on here, or if that just contributed to the rest of the discussion around it that was coming to council.
So I guess that's a question for us, council.
Okay. Are we ready? I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Eric.
So,
Councilor Marshall.
yeah, Councilmember Wiesner just kind of said what I was questioning as well. Is my understanding is these are council priorities, and some of these things we've not even heard of before, and so how are these all of a sudden council priorities when we're not even sure of how they made this list? So for me, I'm in favor of moving the bus farms, but that's not necessarily just our project, right? That's a school district project. We have to bring them to the table. We have to vet their interest on that. Additional restrooms, I mentioned this at a parks meeting, but it's not necessarily specific just to the CDA, but in our parks and in other areas around town. So I don't want to see it just kind of pigeonholed into the CDA type of conversation. Buying property, I mean, we all were questioning, well, what property are we talking about? It was just kind of general, and so I'm struggling a little bit with this list, in that I don't see, and hearing from my fellow council members, it doesn't sound like some of these are our priorities. A food truck court is not one of our priorities. It doesn't sound like you're talking. And so, just curious how we kind of get to, because we're the ones that are going to have to answer for this, right? When this gets put on the website, people start questioning council priorities and go, why'd you do that? And we're like, wow, it was just on the list. I'm not really sure. We had to get a number, right? And so, yeah, we were playing a game at that point. So I really want to make sure that we kind of nail down what our true priorities are. And I don't know that this exercise had necessarily accomplished what we were trying to get at.
So part of the exercises is that there's different topics going on in conversations about different things that people want. As talked about in the beginning, we have some things that were from the past that were in that original 32. We have things that have been talked about since. We have new ideas that are coming up, and making sure that you as council are aware that these projects are going on. Because at the end of the day, all of these come out of the same staff, the same resources, the same funding that we have. And so giving you an opportunity to see where those are and where those are categorized as things that are being discussed is where they fall into. So that's why we brought those to the table as part of this, because the problem we've had in the past is that we created, say, 31 goals, and then there were 5 more throughout the year, 3 more that came on, 2 more that came on. And so just making sure that, we have this conversation and talk about what are your priorities, because at the end of the day, it is the same resources that we're pulling from. We fund what we do, and so, we need to make sure that if we're doing something that we have the funding to support it.
I just want to point out a fallacy in our system, however. Buy properties, scored 31. Brian threw that one out, I'm assuming. I put a question mark on mine. So there's 2 scores that, if we had scored that, we probably scored it a 7 or 8, that we just totally threw out.
Yep.
If we added those 2 scores to that, that's 14. That's 45.
I assume by throwing them out being a 0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I assumed by throwing out
it
was
is a 0. But a 0 is better
The
than a
lower
1.
the score, the better the.
Oh, I thought it would be added to the average.
No, a 0 is better than a 1.
Oh, I thought it'd be added to the average.
So
but that
by
would
throwing
tank
it out, you actually moved it up
Oh, I didn't-
to
okay, I
ahead
didn't realize
of
that.
number 1 priority, right?
That's got the whole thing blown.
Yeah, I thought they would just be an average with zero taken into account.
And again, so, yeah, one second, so again, though, this is just a guideline, you can move these however you want at this point.
Well, I'm just saying that our scoring system is flawed, right? Because, right, that's the problem, right? Because we're looking at this thing, buying properties number 31, and we're all going, okay, well, we all wanna go with what everybody else, you know, I mean. Huh?
Mine's right here.
Yeah, so there's 3 of them that we.
So if 2 people vote, you know?
I mean, no, it means 4 of us.
Mayor
made
Pro
it.
Tem.
I think
We can
that.
put all of our discarded cards back in.
We can, no. I think that, I mean, you're right about the math and everything, but I think, I have 2 things actually. What we could do is we could go down the list that we have, and we can discuss it and get clarification if anybody has questions or whatever, and then we can go through each category and pick out a top whatever. So we don't necessarily have to go with a strict, well, the math says this, and therefore we have to make it number 2.
This was just to give you a.
Yeah,
No, I get
so
that.
it's just, yeah, so this is an aid, which I think we can go down, we can discuss as is, and then, reprioritize, shuffle around. But I'm also, one of the things that I'm trying to be cognizant of as we're having this discussion is, we're kind of mixing our overarching priorities and specific projects. And those are 2 different things. So we've got all kinds of really specific projects when it comes to downtown revitalization or, updating aging infrastructure. There's a lot of things that would fit into real kind of general categories in terms of overarching goals. And then those are broken down into projects. So that's just kind of something that's in the back of my head as we move forward, is when we, as we pull out the projects that are important, those can either fall into a category, or we can say, well, no, we just want this concept to be applied to everything in this category. So just something to have in the back of our minds as we move forward. We might want to differentiate between specific projects and overarching philosophical goals and, long-term goals, stuff like that.
Yes.
Can we kept talking about adding more time to make this right. For me, can we just go one by one saying keep it or throw it out, keep it or throw it out, keep it or throw it out? Because by that, we'll narrow down this list, and then we can haggle what sort of
It's your workshop, you guys can do whatever.
Okay,
you
well,
want.
let's start-
You guys wanted the ability to have the freedom to collaborate and come up with this, that's what we're trying to do.
Well,
And
We
I
appreciate
did
it.
You're
put
doing a great
together the
job.
Word- And we did put together the Word document, so that is there as well in a draft form for you. It's just we realize that the Word document can be a bit overwhelming when you're looking at it, because it's a lot of detail. We have the overarching categories just because we realize that it's hard to just have all these different projects all over the place. And so it gives people a focus of where that falls into. But you guys can use this time however you want to discuss those items.
So I'm all for the one by one. Some of these that I see ranked higher are things that aren't in my radar, but I really wish we would have had those in there with a 0.
Here's the thing though, this doesn't necessarily have to be the way they're ranked.
No,
This is just from that exercise.
But I am also keeping in mind, for example, moving the bus forms isn't a big thing for me. If we were to go line by line, I would vote no. But I'm now taking into account that, my colleagues seem like it is a big deal. So I'm using this as a
So now you
guideline.
have a
Sure.
discussion, yeah.
But I don't have a full picture without having those zeros in here to knowing,
So
because
we can take notes as well as you guys can take notes on your papers, but if you want to just start going down the list,
Okay.
and you guys can make a vote amongst yourselves. I mean,
Do we want to take 10 minutes and fill these out, or?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking and
it is
the
what
two
it
that
is
I just,
now.
We're gonna go through them.
3
Well,
that I
let's
just,
You're gonna go through them individually.
Okay.
We'll just go through them individually.
Would
What?
Three
you
of the
just like
ones
to
I
call
discarded
one by
are
one?
I can do that, you want me to?
Is everyone okay with him just calling them one by one and doing it
Yeah.
that way? We don't have to do about rank or order, just what are we gonna knock off first? Does that seem fair to everybody?
Sure.
All right, so connecting downtown and marina.
Yes.
Guess, raise a hand if you're for it.
Keep it.
So I'm gonna put a check mark and we're keeping. Moving bus barns. So you got 3 yes and not keep, those that want it removed, raise your hand.
Want it removed off the priority list.
So there's 4 of you that want to remove it, so I'm gonna put an X there. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's democracy.
Oh, Julie, thank you. Additional restrooms.
I think we need additional restrooms everywhere, not just CBA.
Okay, and no.
I just don't know how to keep the ones open we have hardly. So.
As long as they're not Portland Loos.
Oh,
Okay, but we had what? We had at least 4 votes for keeping.
we did.
We had 6 for
Thank you. Future planning City Beach to, or, yeah, future planning, City Beach to State Route 20. Keep, yes, okay. 1091. Oh.
I'll
were
vote
there any
yes.
no's?
I just didn't forget to raise my hand. I just forgot to raise my hand.
Okay. 1091 and 1081 property.
Get it cleaned up, right?
So what are we gonna
We
do?
own them.
We own them, we better do
I
something.
mean, I think it's a discussion on how we're gonna develop them.
Yeah, that's it.
That's gonna stay on the priority.
Endangered and redevelopment, sitting back and waiting for it to happen.
The title by property, again, part of this is me too, this isn't my priorities or my thing, but one of the things that I said as soon as I took my oath of office was, we're no longer gonna buy property, we're gonna have to plan for what we're doing with things. So, we're not saying we're not buying property, we're gonna continue to buy property when there's a useful purpose for it and we have it thought out, planned out. I mean, we bought properties that we've then done studies and it doesn't fit what we need it to do, and now we're just sitting on these things. So we need to do a little bit better job of thinking through what we're gonna do before we just go forward. So, but buy property, we wanna keep that on there, yes?
Just for the sake of buying property?
No, okay.
Not without a plan.
All right, I agree. I mean, I agree too, but, so.
And it doesn't mean we're gonna stop.
No.
Right.
That's not what we're saying. Yep. Multi-family tax exemptions, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, yes. Food truck courts,
Susan.
no, okay.
Then that doesn't mean
Right.
not to continue with.
Right,
with
just
your-
not going on
your
this
forward
list.
thinking,
We're
Brian.
already doing,
Right,
yeah.
don't want you to take that.
No
Yeah.
one's gonna quit forward thinking. Everyone's, yeah, I mean, this is just for you said, yeah. Parking research project. 2 yeses, 5 noes, so.
I think in my mind, it's already part of the affordable housing stuff, so I'm against it.
Okay. Chimes Corner and Midway.
Can we get some clarity on what that means?
What does that mean?
So Chimes Corner is right there at Midway,
Yeah.
where Whidbey intersects with it. Old style buildings right there, and that's an area of a node that we would create as part of our redevelopment program, to be able to put higher density housing there, to use a form-based code to put in maybe 5-story buildings in that area, add more density and allow more affordable housing to go in these places. Close to the bus barns, because that's a whole area of redevelopment too. So it's close to public facilities, close to all the other things that we have in that area as a city, and it's at an intersection of 2 major roads. And so that is one of the main projects that we would like to do as part of the CDA.
Now, is that just a code thing? Has the developer that owns some of that reached out already?
Yeah, we haven't reached out to any developers in that
So
area
it'd just be a
yet.
code thing?
So it's just a concept right now.
So like in
It's just-
conceptualizing a housing-friendly code, that's one of the priority locations that was picked out?
So are you
Is that fair?
proposing launching form-based code just in that area? Because I mean, form-based code in general is going to solve some of our redevelopment issues throughout the entire city, not just there.
Certainly could. Form-based codes could go in phases. So you could put form-based code in the central development area. And as part of that, you could add target areas. So if you remember in the multifamily tax exemption discussion where we have to have a target area for receiving higher density housing and installing affordable housing, we would create various target areas around town. And one would be in the Chimes Corner area. Others could be elsewhere in the CDA. Some of that could be downtown. Some of that could actually be outside the CDA. And so the Chimes Corner is just an area that we have a real interest in as far as design goes. It's a good place to put a node where there's 2 major roads that go through it, and a good opportunity for higher density.
I say keep it.
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem, yeah.
I'm just thinking, I'm voting to keep it.
Oh, sorry.
Same.
Whether we call it itself or call it the form-based code or call it revitalization, whatever.
we're looking at-
Oh, I'm sorry, you're not done.
I guess if
What's the current?
if it was a matter of this is the way we are looking to launch form-based code and we want to launch it in particular areas of our city so that we can refine it before releasing it out to the rest of the city, and this is an area we would like to target first for that form-based code. I think I'd agree with that analysis. It's the prime area to do that in. And so, I guess I'd say be leaving it from that standpoint, because I'm looking at that as a way to move forward with form-based code, and if that's the area you want to try it in, I'd be okay with that. Does that make sense?
And it's currently zoned commercial, correct?
Yes, it is. So
It's all
a place
zoned commercial
you
in
can
that
have mixed
corner.
housing as well
All
as
the way from
commercial.
Kettle to Midway.
Yes.
I agree with that, that's an ideal location. I have, I guess, a concern with naming a specific property and say, okay, this is where we want to do this with somebody else's property. I mean, I could say doing planning, doing rezoning, doing, naming it something different as in, reviewing zoning and perhaps implementing form-based code. But to say, this is the place that we want to do it with somebody's current property that somebody else owns, that's where I feel like it's overreaching government at that particular time. Because we don't want to limit ourselves to just that one location, in my opinion. We want to be able to say, okay, we can do it in the CDA, or we can do it in these zones here. But to list it specifically at that location causes me some concern. It almost sounds like we're dictating to the property owner what we want, but the city wants to do with their property, and we don't have the right to do that.
So we
Could
can
just
call it
rename
like
that central development area?
identify,
And
No, I would be looking at zoning opportunity or
Target
rezoning
locations.
in form-based code as opposed to.
As the priority.
As the priority, yeah.
Right.
Because I think that form-based code works in several areas. And if we want to redevelop downtown at some point, I think that's a great way to redevelop our downtown. But I have some concern with naming a particular property that if it's owned privately and saying, okay, this is where we're gonna do this at.
And Councilmember Marshall brings up an issue, right? I mean, if we're going to be looking for an area to launch form-based code in, right, and it's that area to start to fine tune it, that really should be driven by a developer, right? Because otherwise, we're going to be sitting back waiting and waiting and waiting, and it may never happen, right? I think the development of that form-based code and then looking for a project in which we can utilize it with specific project, right? The developer saying, hey, I'm ready to redevelop, my property here. Okay, great, you're gonna be the person we're gonna start with that experimentation of the form-based code on. Probably makes more sense rather than trying to pull it through the other end. That seems like what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to, hopefully if we make the laws, they will build it and come, right? Versus say, hey, let's make the laws and work with somebody who's ready to build and come.
So is it fair to say that the central development area in general would be acceptable for form-based codes? And then you'll have various nodes that eventually will grow based on what the private market does?
Yeah, so the priority would need to be more or less a review or restructuring.
priority areas, target areas, something like that.
I just call this Chimes Corner and Midway, we just call this form-based code and rezoning, and then you guys, someone had a wild card in here to develop a form-based code to promote redevelopment while preserving the our community. So that ties right in. So
Form-based opportunities
so
within the city.
really quickly, we'll change it from Chimes Corner Midway to form-based code and rezoning. Quick votes, please, from everyone. Everyone's in agreement.
Yeah, I'm in line with the rest of their thinking there. That was why I led with asking if the developer had reached out. I wondered if Island Construction had reached out because, I mean, if we went with that on a specific property, we might, in a very real way, change the property value and cause unintended consequences, et cetera. So.
Okay, so we're moving on to the employee section. Morale is on there. Before you guys even vote, I'm going to tell you that that's something I focus on every single day. So I'm already aligning with what you guys want to, but I mean, I'm assuming you want to keep that on there, right? So, but it is something that we're focusing on a daily basis.
And staffing and workloads goes hand in hand with that.
Absolutely.
I mean, the two of them are actually synonymous, right?
I mean, and, Emma is part of now our leadership team, weekly team discussions. That's something new that I'm doing, and those are things that we're assessing all the time. So.
And you all received, should have received an email about the upcoming all-staff meeting, so that's
Yeah.
another part of that.
So morale and staffing and workloads and equity, I'm just gonna call for a vote from all of you on, yeah. I'm
That could be
assuming-
one.
Well,
That
hang on,
all
could it
worded.
be one? I mean, I don't love the idea of non-tangible goals, I've said, and it's kind of subject, I'd rather be all one than three separate goals.
Sure,
Yeah.
we can do that, yeah.
To me, morale is all of those.
I would agree. I mean, morale's gonna be low if your work environment sucks.
I think our struggle was just council members, we were concerned about having so many things
I get it.
under a category that it can sometimes be difficult.
I get it. So
Yeah.
all four of us one.
Yes, we got you. All right, so moving on, sorry, to facilities, marina development plan. Yeah, this has just gotten more tricky after yesterday, but yeah. Replace police department.
So, over a 10-year, getting the plant started over a 10-year, is that what we're kind of thinking? That
I mean, again, this isn't, these can be ongoing things. like
Yeah,
these
yeah,
priorities that we're
then
focused
I'm
on.
in favor of it.
And we're not necessarily putting them in order of priority.
No.
We're just
You're
going
just,
to
right
keep
now,
them
you're
on.
keeping them on the list. So, police department, show of hands.
Yeah, how old's that building now?
All right. Thank you.
50s.
New recreation center. Fine.
Yeah.
Did you hurt yourself, Christopher?
Yes,
Um,
Charlie horse.
replacement and maintenance funds.
Yeah.
No, we
Thank
didn't.
you.
Support fund.
Whoa, I really appreciate this part. City hall roof.
Oh, yeah.
It's that urgent.
Mhm.
Well,
They were up there, I
we'll
saw them.
I don't love
demonstrate
it,
that- We'll
but-
demonstrate that to you, but yes, it is urgent, so. Police department roof.
Oh, we don't need that one.
Yeah, new police.
Yeah, you could do tents.
All about him. Yeah.
I'm a no. We need a new one. I'm a no.
Okay, fire station 81, that's the fire station.
That's the current fire station,
It's the
correct?
current fire station, and it's just planning for long-term of that station,
Oh.
making sure maintenance, support, that we're
Yes.
But we
not
do,
forgetting it in the list.
do we currently
So
have a plan?
does that fit under replacement?
Yeah, isn't that part of that?
I mean, because
It
it's a
might
city
be,
facility.
but I just wanted to make sure that we weren't, because we tend to, as a city, get focused on building A, building B, building C, and we sometimes lose track of those others, so I just wanna make sure
So I'd
we're not
rather,
losing it.
I'd
in
rather be
the
one category.
I'd rather it be one category,
Okay.
replacement funds, and then in that category, we're talking about all facilities.
Yeah, because they're all, it's all.
Although I
falls
think
into the same.
we're all in agreement leaving City Hall and the police department as the two priorities out of that.
Yes, because they're gonna be
Right.
separate bonds, yeah, they're not, that's gonna be a, yeah.
Okay.
Replace city hall.
Can I see that again? I'm sorry. Thank you.
And I just want to point out real quick, like, when we're talking about replacing these facilities, I'd like to also entertain a discussion of the possible repurpose of the facilities, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think any of us are envisioning, if we were saying replacing City Hall, that we're coming in here with a wrecking ball and demoing this building. I don't think
we
we're-
can move.
I don't think we're
headquarters
there
somewhere.
yet, right? I mean, think that.
Future conversation.
There's
Yeah,
some dreams.
different conversation, but I do want
And
people
it
to
doesn't
realize
feel
there is
right.
advantage to replacement of some of these facilities by repurposing the existing facilities, and we could be killing two birds with one stone.
And Steve Schulman, that would potentially be part of the feasibility study or something like that, right, if we talked about that?
Yes, and I mean, just to be directed, to make sure that we're all on the same page, I think there's things we talked about with Ginger, the building official, right, and Dave can talk about this also. With the police station and with City Hall, and we could probably throw in a third building there. Where we're at right now is we have to fix the roof leak, or otherwise we damage the IT and electrical system. So we've got some of those ongoing things, but whether we pursue a path of doing a major remodel on the police station and the City Hall is we can pursue that study, but you got to be very careful, and so it's really stopping that middle option and not pursuing that path very much and starting to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars on a building that only has a very limited life. So that's something we've kind of discussed, and let me know if there's something different. But the idea is we're stopping kind of this middle ground that was in the previous budget of trying to spend a bunch of money, and because there's your money's going to get lost. You're going to lose it. And so what the idea would be is to really look at that longer term picture for these buildings that maybe have 10, 15 more years, and then because, and then you say it better than I did. You start getting to this building, you start getting into HVAC code requirements, energy code, windows, seismic, structural, I could just keep going on for an hour. And that's the problem, right? And so you really can't,
we've
that
tried to
middle ground
replace the
becomes very
windows, it structurally
difficult.
won't handle it. We
Well,
can't.
again, the repurposing of a structure though for that 10-year period while we ramp up to replace that repurposed structure, if we had another structure going, those are all the conversations I think we need to have as part of that replacement.
Okay, yes.
Agreed. Shane's got a question.
Yes.
I totally understand what Steve is saying there and agree. You know, I wanted to clarify why I was a no on that one. I know we need a new city hall. I've only heard ideas of funding that through a bond, through a vote of the people. And I know there's nothing more unpopular than the voters being asked to fund a city hall. So if an idea comes forward on funding a new city hall that isn't through a vote of the people, I am all over it. So that was why
I would tell you right now that we will work very hard to not go to the voters and ask for a bond or approve it at City Hall. Because it will lose,
Yes.
99% odds, or it'll lose. So we'll do a 452 or something like that, like Bothell or others have done to solve that problem. And we can get into those details later.
With that knowledge, I am now a yes. Thank you.
Yeah. And it's
Sorry, Ben.
Yeah, but
our irresponsibility for not having a replacement fund,
Yep.
not planning ahead.
we looked at the cost to insure this building, and we found out what that cost was. And then we looked at what it would cost to replace the building, and we analyzed the comparison between the two. We looked at this building and the structural seismic safety requirements that we would have to add to this building for earthquakes, and we found that the cost would be prohibitive to come back and redo this whole building to make it safe. So we've also been engaged with people in Bellingham who do this, where they come in and they'll build a building for the city, and the city will lease the building back from the developer. That's what Steve was referring to, they did in Bothell for their city hall. And so it's a really nice program where they can front the money, build it, own it, and we lease the building back from them.
And if we were to pursue anything like that, we want to do a cost-benefit analysis of that versus doing a councilmatic type of bond, because you don't necessarily have to go to the voters in order to get bond proceeds to build a new city hall or build a new police station. You do have the capacity to do it councilmatically, which means you don't have to go to the voters. So I'd like to see what that looks like as far as ongoing cost compared to this lease buyback scheme.
Awesome, yeah, because I think his 99% number is pretty factual. So, thank you.
Okay. So, and I will, just to reiterate to what Mayor Pro Tem was saying, this leadership team is committed to implementing replacement and maintenance funds so that we're not in this situation in 20, 30 years.
Thank you.
So
yeah.
important.
They're all committed to this, 100%. So, all right, so moving on, city shop roof repair.
Falls under that, just that same conversation.
Yeah, today's I think the first time hearing about the city shop roof needing repair, unless I'm wrong.
They have their own replacement fund, just again, if we're talking about different buildings, I didn't want the other question to potentially be, what are we doing about building X, what are we doing about building Y?
Gotcha.
So just making sure that you all have the
So
information.
yeah, again, that would just fall into the
Same
aging
category.
infrastructure.
And when we do the presentation on the roofs, that will be included as one of the items you'll hear more about.
I'm sorry, what were the hands on that thing?
I don't, there wasn't, it was just combined.
It's just gonna be combined under, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Fire station 82.
It's in process,
It's in process.
Well, yeah.
Everything's
but
going-
there's still action items that have to be addressed as we move through that process.
The things, and Chief over here will assure you that things are on track. We're monitoring that on a weekly basis, so we're having conversations.
Well, we need to keep that as a part of the conversation,
So
right?
keep on-
keep on
Yeah.
The people of the community entrust us with their
Yeah.
taxpayer money to make sure we
Yeah.
keep the conversation at the forefront while we're going through it.
And that's why it's here for you guys too. But I mean, assuring you too that we're having weekly conversations. David's part of that team, Chief's part of that team, I'm part of that team, and we're part of that. So
I think our last full council update there on that topic was in October, I think.
Yeah, well, he's presenting later this week.
Next week.
Yeah, next week,
Beautiful.
so,
Thank you
yeah.
so much.
Yeah, I didn't
You're
break
getting
that
an
one.
update on that and where we are with the fire station and the
Good job.
current fire station and the new fire station and where we're going.
Thank you.
That one I did rate highly just because as far as I'm concerned, it's already
Yeah, it is,
done.
yeah.
So, not that I don't want
But
it.
again, it's just there for everyone to continue to have awareness about.
And I think one of the things we found is when you look at the Word document that has all the different in progress, completed, the levy itself was completed, voters approved it, but now we have the next phase of what are we doing and in process on it.
To sustain it, yeah.
So the last thing under facilities is additional generators.
Yes.
Which we're gonna tease Mikhail about for at least 2 years.
Whatever those are, I'm all in favor.
That's right, amen.
So one
You don't have to
thing
plug it
is,
in.
that's something that Sandra Place has been working on, ordering. And one of the things we did make sure is, because of the conversation about having electric vehicles coming into play with some of our newer vehicles that we're purchasing, we're making sure that they have the adapters to charge those vehicles as well. So that is in addition to that. So again, just keeping it on our radar for future.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you're all okay with that?
I don't think it's necessary to be on there personally.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
I don't think it needs to be listed as a priority. It's definitely something that should be done, yeah.
It's right up there with other emergency management kind of things.
Ooh.
All right, we're moving on
Management could
to
be okay.
infrastructure, roadway projects.
Yes.
Yes, good, okay.
Alex's list is everything.
Repair utility infrastructure,
Oh, yeah.
water storage and supply.
I guess, yeah, that would be emergency management.
Let's get more than 2 days worth.
Bryn Marsh,
Don't think it needs to be a priority.
doesn't need to be a priority.
No, I think it's just a conversation we're in the process of, right? I mean, but I don't think it's a priority for council.
Got it.
It's not.
Alt field pump station.
Can we get some background on that?
That's
We already
the
voted on the
electrical
electrical,
stuff that
right?
we've been talking
We already
about.
put that
So yes,
on.
Yeah, you approved that, and so the contractors order things, and everything takes so long to get, but this project will probably happen next year.
Okay,
It's
so
not time to
even
get
though
it.
it's in the works, it's
Yep,
Right.
it won't
still
happen
a
probably
year
this
out.
year.
Okay.
If
So
it's,
I just don't want it to feel like a surprise later when it's like,
Sure.
did we talk about
That would be
this?
considered under utility.
Yeah, part of utility infrastructure, isn't it?
Okay,
Could be.
I'm
Yeah.
making notes, so you bear with me. All right, under other, we have housing, or I'm sorry, public involvement. Okay.
And I just wanted to say we've made a lot of strides on that, right? Over the last 4 years, I'm gonna just reach back to 4 years when, you know, of course, when COVID hit, right, public involvement went away. It's not that we had a ton of it before that, but then that came along and just totally killed it. And I think we do need to keep it as a forefront in our minds that we have a lot of work to do to get back to the point where the public, you know, feels as though they can come in here and just, you know, say what they need to say. And I think staff and everybody has been doing a really good job of that. And we just, this is probably gonna be something that's gonna need to be on the list for several years to
But, yeah, some of these are gonna be on the budget for sure.
yeah.
All right, housing.
Can we define that better?
what
Because
the-
we're not building the homes.
Okay.
I mean, we talked about form-based code, so could this be combined with something, or can we define what that means to say housing?
Well, I think we've heard workforce housing, affordable housing, we have the numbers that we received from the state. I mean, there's just a lot of different topics under it. So I
Okay.
think, yeah, I think it's one of those that, it's not, and it's not us, but it is us. And that's why we even started these lists of like community partners, future things like that, because there's some things that are us, there are some things that are, you know, outside groups, developers, things like that.
Could it be called, because I'm thinking about the people who like just go online, they see this, like we
Right.
had on this list infill, and someone asked me what that
Right.
meant. I got no idea. So can we say something like promote additional and affordable house, something besides just housing for someone who sees
Our
this?
housing action plan.
Yeah, I'm not calling you one second here. So I think Councilman, so I think I know what you're gonna say, that's why, what we were talking about earlier.
No, what I was gonna say is simply, we could have it listed as update our comprehensive plan to address housing needs.
Anything,
You know,
anything,
something
yeah.
along those lines, because
Yeah.
it is part of our comp plan work that we're doing right now, we're gonna have to figure out where we're gonna put these homes, and so,
Yeah, it's
You know,
such a multifaceted nuanced.
So just changing the name a little bit.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more specific, yeah.
Well, don't we have a housing action plan right now that, right, that we're trying to implement? And I think the arms of that housing action plan are adopted for recommendations of the Affordable Housing Act Task Force, continue to work on densities and other provisions. So wouldn't we just make the actual implementation of our housing action plan? Because it's not an implementation, it's a plan right now. But take that plan and actually be implementing it?
That was before we had the 5,500 housing units.
We don't have the land right now, we don't know where we're gonna live. So we have to identify that.
Well, of course, I think part of the housing action plan was also talk with the county about the expansion of the JPA and UGA.
Well, we've started those
I like how you
discussions,
phrased it.
right? We've started those discussions, and those discussions are gonna continue. We're gonna have another meeting that we're in the process of scheduling and setting up, and we're gonna delve into things a little bit deeper. I'm looking because I don't wanna get smacked up on saying something I shouldn't. But I mean, we're moving that forward. We just had one a month ago, and we're gonna, I think, were we thinking like August, September?
Yeah, we had a date that they had pushed it out a little further.
We're trying to negotiate calendars with the county, so, and as soon as we can make that happen, we'll communicate.
And that was the best meeting we've ever had with the county, at least.
And I think they're going
Last
to
10, 12
continue
years,
to just
I remember.
improve, and I think we're gonna continue making progress. Again, it's just a relationship that we've got to repair, so, and we're doing that. You guys are doing that, so. Okay, so we're all in agreement there, or?
Renaming it.
It needs to
Okay.
be renamed somehow, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna put rename.
And I'm putting renaming something with the plans tied into it, yeah.
Okay. Other form of government. I don't know what that is.
So
That's
we've had, council has had conversations regarding different types of forms of government, revisiting this as a council, so we're just listing it. There have been several conversations around that, so we just figured we'd make sure it was on here under the other category, because we didn't really have a category that it fit under. So we just wanted to make sure you had an opportunity today to talk about that.
Yeah, I think almost every one of us is on a totally different page where this where this issue comes in anyway, so.
My question is it need to be listed as a priority versus a continued ongoing discussion? Because it does need to be a discussion, right? But doesn't need to be listed as a priority that we're going to accomplish.
It can be figured out in one meeting.
So,
I mean, depending on how it goes.
potentially, so I think it's definitely a discussion for a workshop or something, potentially. I don't know that it needs to be listed as a priority that we're going to accomplish nothing or something.
So do
We
you,
don't know, right?
are you asking that we put it as a workshop item at a future date?
Yes, I think, is the workshop the best place to have that discussion? I think it's better than a council meeting.
Yeah.
Councilor Hopper.
Thank you. Yeah, I think for me, before I decide whether I would like to keep it or throw it out, for me, it is a question that seems like it's been on the table for about 12 years. I think the city of Oak Harbor, I think this corporation has grown to the point to where we need to go one direction or the other. And it probably, for me, given that, and I don't know which direction is the right way to go, I really don't, but given that, I think it probably does need to be a priority so it can be put to bed. And it may very well be that a lot of individuals, including the public, think that a full-time mayor might be the direction we need to go. But I feel that we've grown and changed enough over the last several decades to where it needs to look at.
So would you like us to work with Hillary and bring that back as an item for discussion at a future workshop and have those different options laid out for you to discuss?
Absolutely.
So I'm thinking like an
Yeah,
hour
'cause-
discussion
yeah.
maybe?
But not a priority.
Everybody voting on form of government might be picturing a totally different result at the end of that. So I think that, having, these are our options and we pick one or don't, that would
It
be
gives us
helpful.
a better idea.
But I don't think it needs to be,
An overarching priority.
So we can remove it, okay.
I think it's more of a discussion than a priority, because I think priorities are things that we're gonna wanna have something tangible to show to the public that we actually accomplished, and talking about it some more is just not a tangible entity, but it does need to be talked about some more.
My
And out of that
favorite
workshop, we might have an action.
word. Agree.
Exactly, and the most action we could ever have on it is asking the public question, but we need to learn what we need to ask them first.
Yeah, what is the
Brandon?
question?
Lisa.
Eric?
Oh, sorry, yes, Councilor Marshall.
So, if I understand right, we still have a couple hours, right?
We're good.
Yeah, no, and so we've already kind of talked about this once. Do we want to continue to kick this can down the road, or we just want to just hash it out real quick and kind of get a pulse of where everybody's at with this? I mean,
I'd prefer to prepare my thoughts more than just doing it right now, yes, for me personally.
No, I don't know what
I
else.
want to
we've got
give Hillary
planned.
time to prepare her thoughts too.
Well, there's that, yeah, having the options prepared.
Well, I'm wondering if a memorandum explaining the process might be a good first step for you?
Yeah. Yeah, we're not the first people to do it, right?
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah, okay, we'll start with that, then you can direct us further.
I didn't know Hillary was on the call,
Thank
and when she
you,
started
Hillary.
speaking, I was like, what the heck?
Good thing you didn't talk about her.
I'm always listening.
Jeez, no. Keep on the down low.
That's
Just so you know.
Big
Alright.
sisters in the house?
Next thing.
All right, quality of life and safety, increased police presence.
Can I just take a step back?
Oh, sorry, yeah.
No. I know that this topic has been, and we kind of joked about it when you guys were going through the process, but should these be separate categories? Because I think sometimes in some of the discussion early on, they got combined, and I just left them that way and expanded what the intent was. So I just want to just take a step back, if you don't mind, Mayor, and see if you as a group, as council, would like to have those separated. So it's quality of life and safety, which are separate.
Public safety and quality of life.
Yeah, or whatever, whatever you're thinking.
Yeah, I would support those being two separate.
Yeah, same here.
Okay.
And Julie, you got that note?
And the fire department stuff.
All right,
also follows.
so right now, increased
Yes.
police presence.
Under safety, yes.
Yes, okay.
It's quality of life too, though.
Although I just gotta say, do any of us really feel unsafe? I mean, do any, or is this increased police presence really, are we really saying that we still need to do something with our transient vagrant problem? I just wanna put it out there.
Well, if you-
I took it as more
there's
officers
two
based on the
pieces. I'm
car.
gonna let Chief speak to this for himself, but there's two pieces to this. One thing that we're continuously hearing from Chief about this is that we aren't actively policing, we're spending a lot of time
Chasing.
reactionary things, right? So this kind of goes in line with that, I believe, is what our thought
That's
is.
correct, yeah, we're at a point now, and we do have some staffing turnover, so as the summer gets busier, we're filling that with overtime, but we're at a point now where we're doing a lot of reactive responses versus being able to go and do proactive policing, where we have officers that aren't tied up on calls or responding to calls, being able to address proactively maybe those community concerns of nuisance complaints of maybe people sleeping on sidewalks or shopping carts, or even preventing shoplifting or vehicle prowls, being just available in the parks.
So when we're talking increased police presence, I mean, I get we're talking, more officers to get the job done, but we're really talking more police interaction with our community is really what you're looking for us to empower you and to come up with ways to help you budget and staff accordingly so that you can have more police interaction with the public is really what you're talking about.
Correct. I think we want to have more police interaction. We started the community advisory board. I feel like they're giving us good direction, and they will. I think there's going to be interaction with council and that advisory board. I believe that we're doing our Citizens Academy. We want to be more engaged with our community.
So I
However,
think that's
we're at a staffing concern.
I think that's the magic word. I think what that should say is increase police engagement.
Okay.
Right, because I don't want the preconceived notion that, just putting more officers on the street just makes us all safer.
Yeah,
right?
presence kind of sounds like
Okay,
the.
yeah, no, that's fair.
I know on my side of town we would like more patrols.
Okay, except for Shane's neighborhood.
I feel just fine being next to an office.
See, shopping carts and car prowling are pretty daily.
You get the chief walking through there every morning.
Exactly.
It's gotten bad, right? It's gotten bad the last few years.
person
All right,
asked.
quality of life, park maintenance.
Sketchy.
There's our.
What were we doing?
Park maintenance.
Yeah, we're on there.
All right, recreation programs, which I think we're moving.
We already had that as an in progress, like
Yeah.
enhanced.
We moved mine.
But it needs to stand priority.
All right, that is the list, folks. So we have taken off 1, 2, 3.
What about our
4,
wild
They combined
5,
some.
6, 7, 8,
Patience.
9.
I wanna go over these wild cards.
Oh, yeah.
There's one that just sticks out to me really bad.
Really bad, is it a good?
Oh, we still have wild cards.
It's
Sorry.
funny.
Sorry. Yeah.
You're good to go through your wild cards.
All right, the wild cards, which we already implemented this one, develop a form-based code to promote redevelopment while preserving the feel of our community. So we agreed that that's staying. Create a storm drain credit program to allow developers to utilize existing retention areas as offset grants to fund additional city priorities.
Yeah, that was me.
I know.
That clearly.
I know that.
You definitely won't be able to.
So you want to talk about that?
Well, I mean, we purchased several properties on Northeast 7th Avenue, for example, which obviously in our northern section of our city, and their retention and regeneration areas, right, for well water and aquifer, as well as large retention areas for that are wetlands, right, and in my mind, we purchased those with the idea of doing exactly this, which is what's being done in other communities, right? You have a developer that's developing a piece of property, it's tight. For the developer to put storm drain retention on the property, it's gonna kill the project, right? Instead, the developer has the opportunity to purchase storm drain credits, right? And storm drain credits come directly to the city for acquisition of additional properties. Typically is the way most cities do it. That's how cities purchase properties, is through these developers paying for these storm drain credits, right? The developers then allowed to, discharge some of their storm drain into our existing services, and again, some of the money can go to upsizing that and et cetera. But right now, we have no mechanism. We have no mechanism. If a developer comes to a property, can't handle storm drain, can't do it all on site, there is no mechanism. It's a dead deal, right? You just can't do it. You just can't build it. And like I say, in other towns, this is how they've done it, and this is how they've funded several things.
Offset the impact somewhere else.
Mhm.
But not.
Correct.
My question on that is that would that need to be an overarching priority, or could that be, again,
Agreed.
a presentation to us as something to consider?
Agreed.
Again, whether it's a priority or the start of the conversation.
No, absolutely.
That's
Damn good
kind of
idea.
why I put it out there, right?
You've piqued my interest,
Good idea.
for sure.
Oh, Councilor Arms, I'm sorry.
Just jump in.
We have a storm drain on our property that when we bought it, it belongs to us. We have to maintain it, not the city. It is not the city's responsibility, it's ours. It's like having a sewer system in ours and it floats all the other houses. We lucked out. But they haven't been doing that for the other properties since, and so we got the lucky deal that they're checking. But I'm just saying, they're out there already, so, I'm not sure about that.
Sure we
but
can.
anyway, we have
It's a
the
long
lucky-
discussion to
It's
start
okay,
those,
go
right?
ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So, yes, I think it'd be great that we look into that. And we'll
Love the
work on a
presentation.
presentation
Yep.
and bring that back to you. And I think when David and I bring back the conversation on the ecology integrated planning grants this coming Tuesday night, you'll hear us talk about the CDA. And I think in order for the CDA to be successful, we have to address parking and we have to address stormwater. So we're already very interested in talking about it. So, yes, we'd like to bring back our future workshop.
Conversation, not priority. That sound fair?
Okay, so yeah, it sounds like it's a workshop on conversation, so. All right, the next wild card, housing outside the box, housing solutions.
It's
Floating tiny
form-based
homes.
code again.
Good job, Tara.
I like that.
Encourage mixed use in more locations, form-based code. So I
Yeah.
think that
It's
kind
been
of
covered.
ties into the one that we've already.
And housing, I mean, between the priorities we have, those are,
You're okay with combining it?
And I love the floating tiny homes. I'll take it.
Police boat to get out there for those DVs, it'll be great.
I knew that was coming, right?
Big finger.
Big engine.
You need a
Fast
rescue
police
boat,
boat.
that's right.
Downriggers, no downriggers for fishing.
Grants.
All right, Economic Development Commission.
It was just a
Sure.
thought of
Yeah.
having a commission specific to economic development. I mean, we talked about that with getting, we got our economic development person. I would like to see a commission focused on that
I see what you're saying. Yes.
to kind of add some accountability, but also to put some more order to the madness, so to speak. But it's up if we want that to be a priority, if we,
I think it's just an idea. I think it's worth
Exactly.
discussing, and if that's something the mayor wants to do, you know. But I don't need.
it is at your discretion.
Would that be duplicating what, like, the Chamber of Commerce board does?
Well, it would be our own, it would be our own, it would be some duplication, but it would be our own thing, just like when we had the conversation of hiring our own economic development person and not having it be the city and not having it be the Economic Development Council of the county. So we already kind of duplicated it by hiring
So
our
have
own.
a citizen advisory
Sure.
board, just like.
And
our
so,
commission.
and the upside to that could be that one of the participants on that board could potentially be like the executive director of the chamber or.
Yeah, we can bring those people together.
Some, I think some things we do drive the budget, and other things the budget does, drives our priorities. So
Yeah.
maybe we revisit it. There needs to be something focused on.
Yeah, you've got the largest and some of the larger employers.
A major developer.
Yeah, major developer.
So, and I'm not opposed to this at all. The thing that we need to keep in mind though, this is one more commission that we're putting on the staff to, and they're here working on these boards and commissions late some nights.
Yeah,
nights
that
a
was
week.
my first question, is somebody has to
So, but I
organize
mean,
this.
but I think there's also room with other potential commission boards right now where we could, and I didn't wanna get into this discussion yet, but, because we're still working through it, but we're looking at maybe potentially collapsing a couple and making them under one, so that we're not having so many different things.
Sure.
And I think it's easier for us to manage and facilitate and have a more focused, driven presentation for you guys from these boards and commissions as well, so.
It could even be like a temporary
Yeah.
thing, like set it up, be a temporary 6 months and have them come up with a plan, and then if we love it, we can keep them, and if it didn't provide much value, then
Well,
we
maybe they
can.
don't meet every month like some of the others.
Quarterly?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So we can research that and bring that back to council with some ideas.
It's a good idea.
Okay. Help with traffic congestion.
That was me again. Again, I don't think that needs to be a priority. I was more concerned with things like roundabouts, things of that nature, but a lot of that has to do with 20, a lot of that has to do with the state. So I don't think it needs to be a priority. Just keep pushing the state to get those roundabouts to help with the traffic situation.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and that just made me think of something to talk about as well. Okay. Pioneer roadway improvements.
Also me, we kind of, West Whidbey was the worst road, at least in my opinion, for the longest time. The second one I'm being told is Pioneer, which is also another major project. That's not just a quick.
You're talking West Pioneer, essentially,
Correct.
from City Beach to 20.
Yeah, that's not a quick pave job. That's a lot more to it, I'm assuming.
It is a priority.
Well, and which one is it?
It's under roadways,
It
it says.
says Pioneer to City Beach.
Okay. I withdraw.
Yeah, so it's already on there. Yep.
Well, it's already on.
With-
As long as it's covered somewhere in this, scratch it.
Priority.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's on the other list.
Well, we're at one way.
All right, so then we have downtown marina and upland development, water taxi, bike, scooter.
Yes, yes, and yes.
Stand-up paddleboard.
Is that what the
That's what SUP is, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I had to remind myself.
Via marina or parks and recreation, so.
For me, they're all inclusive, right?
It seems to be under the marina redevelopment, things like that, yeah.
Are some of those though enhancement to parks and recreation programs? Things like that?
Recreation program,
Right.
which is.
They would be, at some point, they would be, yeah.
Because like the marina has a couple
Potentially.
of bicycles that marina attendants can use to get, to the grocery store and back, because you come in with your boat, you don't have a vehicle.
Isn't
And
Marina
so-
under Parks and Rec?
Well, it is, but yeah, so you've got your bikes there for marine attendants specifically, and then I'm thinking, well, but what if we let other people rent bikes, or we could do scooters, or we could do stand-up paddleboards, and I thought, well, who's gonna be in charge of that? Would that be a marina thing, or would that be a Parks and Rec thing? So I was just kind of brainstorming. I'm not sure how excited Parks and Rec would be.
I get
Put
marina
your
and parks and
list.
rec, but there are different
Yeah,
areas within different
right.
divisions, so I just wanna make sure we're.
So more of an idea than I'm always thinking about the public who's gonna look at this thing.
yeah, just kind of,
Ideas for future programs.
yeah.
All right, trolley deception pass downtown Marina.
Yeah,
So then both of the next ones are related to a trolley.
of
that
some
be-
sort, or some sort of
Would
transportation,
that be
so,
city-owned, chamber-owned?
who knows, right? All we're thinking
Great
about
idea,
is
it's been
Private
tossed around for
industry.
years, we just gotta figure out a way to do it.
getting people from the marina to the downtown corridor.
Which
on
we
a-
have
on
on
a-
us,
What?
which we have connecting Marina to down.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, it's
You
more
know,
just an idea. than
it's just
it is
a-
a priority.
it's not a priority, just
So
an
it's a
idea.
sub to the connecting.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
an idea,
Yeah,
Can I
it's one way to do it.
ask council a question, just because on the connecting downtown to the marina, can you maybe add some more feedback of what do you mean by that, right? 'Cause
Well,
we're
having
not
a
asking
bridge-
for Alex and I to look at the road, right? There's a road that does it, right? There's
So-
a sidewalk there, so maybe just some more detail of. what that
Pedestrian
means.
traffic connection in a more safe and speedy manner.
Yeah, walking from F-Dock over to the sidewalk and downtown, that's a heck of a
A
walk.
bridge
So-
from F-Dock to
Well,
downtown.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that could be a possibility, right? I mean, actually extending and connecting our mini
Yeah.
harbor with our marina at some point in time to a physical connection. It could be a water taxi, it could be a shuttle bus, it could be a trolley. But right now, marina people, if you come and stay at the marina, unless you're really desperate, you are not going to get off that boat, walk to the marina and walk into town. You're just not.
Yeah, it's
Well, I
too
think
far,
it's-
yeah.
So,
I think it's a
trolley or direct.
Well, I think it's a,
Water taxi.
It's a difference of making it a destination marina, right? When you can come there and go for lunch, right? I'm gonna go sail from Connor to Oak Harbor and we're gonna go for lunch, right? Surely this is not the place you would do that. You do the opposite. You can sail over to the Connor for lunch because you can park right out in front of the restaurants, walk up the gangplank and, you've got a
It's right
connection.
there.
Councilman Barnes, and then.
Well, the thing is, we already have our bus transportation. Why aren't we incorporating a bus stop over there? We have the college, we have the college right there, and then we have the marina, we have the base right there that people want to go shopping, and we could maybe look into trying for Island Transit to incorporate it in downtown route. A lot of people do that. You go one place to the other, and it's already there. All we have to do is add
Who's our transportation rep? Who's
Eric.
Eric,
And it's
there
already
you go,
been-
Eric.
Hoodwinked into asking.
Sounds like Barbara's next.
Okay, Councilman Butler, yes.
yeah, thank you, Councilmember Arms. That's what I was gonna say. We need to have a conversation with Island Transit. We need them for 5 minutes out of every hour for 6 months of the year. And maybe, okay, year round. Maybe we even have the thing wrapped to look like a trolley. I don't know, but it's a conversation that we need to have that would also help them with public perception as well and show that it is
Yeah.
being used and it's contributing.
They're getting ready to buy a new electric fleet. Imagine if that was an electric trolley.
When Chris and I go out on our summer boat trips for weeks, as we're planning which marinas we're gonna stop at, we're considering, can you walk to the store? Can you ride a bike to the store? Are there amenities? And so since we rely on, so many people come through here and every one of them is gonna need ice and eggs and milk and whatever. So, dog food, but, I think that, if there was something, the transit shuttle, where we could make it real obvious, because not everybody's gonna, do that research before they get there. But it would be, I think we're really missing out on a lot of commerce by having the marina. I mean, it's walking distance, but it's not a pleasant walk.
It's not walking distance.
Yeah, especially if you're carrying a bunch of groceries and stuff.
And Parks and Rec does have their own bus now, so if there's something we could take care of in-house this year.
There you go.
Well, I think Island Transit's gonna be a more convenient fix with a stop an hour. At least as soon as possible, but with providing, knowing you're having big groups come in and, letting them know they can reserve a bus or something at some point.
Oh, great, no, thank
We
you.
can think of a way to-
Now I have a lot more detail.
That's kind of where we were
Get
getting.
them to the.
And you
store
tracked all
restaurant.
that, I'm impressed.
Yes,
Because that was,
I got every word.
Or a gondola, don't roll out a gondola.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
that could be fun. Zip line.
So we're gonna move on. There were 3 votes under the dog cards for relaxed dress code. I'm just going to say, I don't even think there's a formal dress code for city council.
There's not.
There isn't.
there needs to be for workshops that you don't wear a tie.
I don't care if you don't ever wear a tie, but I'm just saying, I don't think there's a formal dress code, so.
Never seen it. Just wanted to, we were just messing with Stuckey.
I saw the Stuckey cut, but I couldn't tell if he was calling us.
Yeah. Was he sorry?
Oh, you thought I was like calling everybody out? You know, maybe I should. Maybe I should.
I really thought he wrote that, so.
I thought he wrote it too.
Go the other way?
Accusing me of this.
I think we should just get him a Hawaiian.
So, but in line with that too, one of the things, we have an all-staff meeting coming at the end of the month, and one of the things I'm rolling out, and we're rewriting our policies and procedures of the city, is we're relaxing the dress code of the city too for our city employees. So that they're
Yay.
more comfortable at work and happy, and so.
So Brian will really be overdressed.
I'll wear the chucks then.
People can dress up and dress up, as long as it's tasteful and happy.
That's okay, we all know where he gets his suits and they're for free, right? He wasn't gonna do
Can you bleep that
Jim, we're recording.
Where's Hillary? Where's Hillary?
So with that being said, I mean, again, there's no, to my knowledge, and I've talked to Mayor Pro Tem, who has been here more longer than anyone. I'm not saying you're old, I'm just saying you've been here.
Dinosaur. It's fine, I'm a dinosaur.
She doesn't believe there's anything either, so.
Yeah, but the only place where our council rules and procedures mention dressing is when it specifies that the attire may be more relaxed or something to that effect, relaxed attire or casual attire in the summer. But just historically, it's always been more casual at workshops, definitely casual in the summer. But that's just kind of it's in there as a reassurance that it's okay to just like really dress down in the summer if you want to, but there's no rule anywhere saying anything about how we need to dress at regular meetings and other parts of the year. That's just kind of always been up to us individually.
It was just fun to poke the bear.
Brian keeps showing up looking like $1 million, so we all have to compete.
We've now had the discussion.
Not a priority.
So that
Not a priority.
Guys.
See what happens on Tuesday night.
Yeah, we'll see.
So,
Tuesday will be the test.
regional sports complex, there were 2 votes there.
Yeah, I think that was us, right?
Yeah, I think that's a priority.
So it was in our capital improvement plan originally, and just because we can't develop the Harbor Heights, I don't want to see this kind of fall off the wayside. I think it's good economic development, I think it's an opportunity for our community, and so for me personally, I don't want to see it fall away.
And just so that I'm being clear, this is different from.
This is different than a rec center. We need to address our field usage, and this is an opportunity to be able to host.
I'm okay with making that a priority.
Yeah, regional sports complex as its own priority, 100% support.
I think it's absolutely a huge economic growth for us. We can hold tournaments for all these little league sports that are happening across the state. I mean, our teams are going off island to facilities that are amazing, and then they host teams here, and I know we're making improvements to some fields that have been neglected over the years, but a facility that would be like for Oak Harbor to be proud of, absolutely.
Noted. Board district, does somebody want to speak to this, whoever submitted
Only if we can
a
get
card?
the whole seaplane base.
The whole seaplane base,
So
right.
that would make it a port worthwhile.
It would. That was mine. I still want to, I would be interested in having a discussion about actually what, like Hillary, this might, same with the form of government thing, what would the process of forming a port district look like specifically? Like what would the steps be? I know it has to go out for a vote, but just curious as to if we decided that we wanted to pursue that just because we would have access to so many more funding options. If we were to pursue something like that, what would that look like in terms of scope, workload, et cetera? And then, ultimately it would be up to the people, I think.
So conversation, not priority, you're saying?
That's, sure.
Do you want a memo on that as well?
While you're at it.
Sure.
I'd much rather go to the people for a vote on a port district and even have it fail if that's what they decided, than to go to them for a vote on building a new city hall.
No, yeah.
Right, I mean, that is something that I think we could be proud of if we went out to the people and said, hey, we're looking to enhance our marina, and we're looking to have steady funding for it, and we're looking to make it more than just a place for the boaters to go. We're looking for it to make it a place where the community goes and enjoys stuff, and here's your opportunity to allow us that steady source of funding, and if they want to vote for it, then they do, and if they don't, then they've spoken. But I think we can be proud of that if we put that up.
That MPD has a real chance of making that more difficult if that goes through.
Well, yeah, but we're not talking about on this ballot.
I understand that, but
yeah.
it will make it more difficult.
$20 a year.
I think, on what Councilmember Wiesner was saying there, we've continued to talk about and focus on the CDA redevelopment. We've continued to focus on the marina and redevelopment. I think we're changing the conversation and, showing the importance of that marina. Upgrading the marina has been discussed for 20 years longer? It's most likely never going to happen without a port district or something of that type. And I think we're focusing on changing the conversation enough to where maybe we will end up having the first Newport district in 30 years or whatever it is. I think the average voter is starting to relate to the marina so much more than just a few rich people with boats. It is something totally different.
Especially if we start taking steps to integrate it into downtown.
Right, and then that's why it's important to create this physical connection and get food trucks and things down to the marina and activities down to the marina and get our community more and more involved with it, because as we continue moving this discussion forward, it's going to be their impressions that are going to allow us to take those next steps.
So just to make sure that I'm understanding, we want to leave this as a priority, or we want to just bring this back as a memo from Hillary and then that's like a workshop?
I think we need to start the discussion.
The latter.
The latter, okay. Okay.
That's how I see it.
Start the discussion and go from there.
All right, last thing, there's facilities, new city hall, or new police department, and it does say or, so I don't know who wrote that.
I think those are, I don't know about. So priority wise, I think we have to continue to have this discussion. I think it goes into the other area where we're talking about long-term funding for maintenance and stuff. And so I think there definitely at minimum needs to be discussions of more in depth. I think you're going to be hitting that with us when you share on what's really going on with this facility and stuff like that too as well.
So we already approved those as priorities though?
Right. Yeah, I thought we did.
And again, I was just reiterating what's on the bottom.
I did want to, there was one that I've been reminded of that we hadn't really talked about, and I don't know if this is a priority or just a discussion, but Performing Arts Center. It's on there. I just want to make sure we talk about it since I'm getting beat.
So, we had that presentation from the Oak Harbor Creative Arts Foundation. That is something that is being worked. Okay. And obviously, we would need to be, a partner. The city would need to be a partner to them.
So is that, that's why the discussion, is that a priority for us? It's an overarching priority, or is it not?
I definitely think that's probably one of your, and again, these are your priorities, but I would say that this is one of the long-term priorities that you guys are looking at for the community. Absolutely, yeah. So I think.
Do we put it on this wish list?
I'm not for putting it on this wish list only because it's mostly not in our control. I mean, it can be if we decide to say, to heck with the arts thing and we'll do it ourselves, but we're not suggesting doing it ourselves. Okay. Making the path easier for them to do it, I think it would be the intent, but not a worthwhile priority.
And I don't think you want to say, that we want to do it ourselves. When you have an organization that's in the community, I mean, that's
we don't want to take that away.
Saving your city a lot of money. You want to partner.
You could support, partner, collaborate, something.
Collab.
Yeah, I met with them yesterday. To discuss their business plan and stuff. And the strong group of people, and I think they have the ability to do it. I think they just need our support to help move forward.
I agree, 100%. So, and I think that we're all in support of that, and we'll continue to do whatever we can to help them move that along. So.
Cool.
Excellent.
All right, that is it for your wild cards and the list.
Mayor?
Yes.
Before you move on, just one item I just want to get some council feedback on, and this is something Sabrina and I talked about the other day, and it's been kind of tossed around, and it's not a priority thing, but I guess I'm just looking for some guidance as to whether we should continue the discussions, we have the opportunity to, there's a private property owner downtown that has a small area that could be developed into another downtown pocket park. We have a group of organization in town that's willing to put forth the effort to convert the existing space into that pocket park. And, you know, it's part of this, you know, downtown redevelopment. Do we want more, you know, spaces for people to come and sit and relax in our downtown? Or do we want to keep it more of that commercial vibe, right? Because obviously for every piece of property we take out of the commercial mix and we convert it to a pocket park, that's one less place that a business can build, right? But at the same time, you know, it is our downtown. We want that leisure stroll, this place to sit. So it's on the corner of Jensen and Pioneer Way. The property owner has expressed an interest in working with the city to allow that the process to take place. The Gary Oak Society, with it being next to Smith Park, has expressed an interest in taking that on as a project amongst themselves and providing a lot of the labor to create that pocket park.
That's a big enough lot too. You could have like restrooms and picnic tables.
We could, and in fact, there was even a discussion about creating maybe creating a pad for a food truck to be able to park there, not necessarily creating a food truck for
Is it Jensen and Pioneer?
Yeah.
It's the old theater. The old movie theater property.
Where the main stage.
It's right next to.
Yeah, you know where that theater used to be down by where the Rock used to be next to where the barn is not there anymore?
It's a mural. It's kitty corner from the property we purchased that needs to be cleaned
Yeah,
up.
Smith Park. Yeah, we'd be coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I guess I'm just looking, you know, from council as a, you know, just kind of an idea. Is that something you want to see us continue to?
I've heard the idea for 2 years. I love it. I think it'd be amazing.
Yeah, and it's been floating around for a while, and it's just kind of, all the players are kind of saying, hey, we're ready now, and we're just kind of like, whoa, just a second, we gotta figure
As
out.
long as once a year they put a big screen up and host a movie there, I'm all for it.
That's the requirement.
With popcorn and somebody raffling off a bag of food.
So for me, we already have a park right there, right, in Smith Park, and we only have so much developable land in our central business district and on Pioneer Way. I would hate to see that converted to, this is my own personal opinion, to a park, adjacent to a park, when we are trying to develop our downtown with perhaps mixed use and things like that. I would like to see that be developed a piece of property still.
I agree, Councilman.
If it wasn't so close to Smith Park, I would be all over it, but because there's a park like right there, unless we're gonna put restrooms or something. But yeah, I think
and
maybe
I know
developing
the OGOS's theory there was, the reason they've been so far behind it the last couple of years is they want to use that to draw people into Smith Park as a connector.
Well, and one thing we do have going for us is we do have water and sewer on that lot where we don't have water and sewer up at Smith Park. So if you guys are talking about adding additional restrooms and stuff, this is a place where we could tie into that, where adding a restroom up at Smith Park might be, a little bit rough because there's no readily connection.
If you hear their presentation on it, it's like, it's a great idea.
Without a plan for downtown, I'd hate to just commit that. I'd like to see kind of what our redevelopment plan is for that downtown area before we say, okay, we're gonna just start chop up that plan before it even exists, like committing park space.
So maybe integrated into some of the discussion about the downtown development.
See what the plan
So
looks like.
can we do it without designating it a park space?
Yeah, I think part of the discussion we were having was, possibly working with the property owner, and giving some naming rights or do something, where we recognize the value in the property. I mean, it's not like they're gonna gift it to us, but I think there's some discussion, there's some interest in making it, fairly inexpensive to do. That's the other part of it, right? It's kind of I'm not gonna say a donation, but I think there's some feelings there that there's by the property owner that she would like to see something like that happen on it. So that's part of that discussion, right? Is that opportunity where you have a willing property owner that could develop it for a commercial purpose in the future, but right now felt as though that it might serve the city better. So just a timing issue.
Who would be responsible for the maintenance of the park then?
Well, that's all things to be discussed if we're interested in continuing the discussion. Again, lots of players involved, and I guess I'm just trying to get some guidance for Sabrina right, as to, you know, where we go with that discussion.
I'd like to have the discussion some more. I'd also be curious if it's been brought from 2 parcels to 1.
And plus, it's right across the street
Because it's
from
originally,
the
it's been 2 parcels
two
for
parcels that we bought.
long time ago.
Yeah.
We don't know what's gonna be with our property.
Right.
Yeah. So there's definitely options. I think it's worth discussion, but I'm in favor to making sure we don't put ourselves in a bind later down the road.
Well,
Okay.
can we make a small theater there?
Okay,
Well, there you go, Sabrina.
We can't do anything there. It's not our.
so would you guys like to
I
see
know,
this
but
brought
could-
forward in a workshop?
That, yes, we would like to discuss.
Yes,
Functions.
But even a small theater.
it'd be a great spot for Performing Arts Center.
Water and everything, but they don't use our theater downtown.
I was like, put a big thing in there.
For just the building.
Okay,
Okay, so with that, we have wrapped up the exercise of all of the priorities. I just want to make sure everybody had an opportunity to give their input and thoughts, because that was the big concern, is that you as council had the opportunity to speak up on the items. So I'm getting no, okay.
I greatly appreciate this way going line by line as opposed to when this was done, where we just kind of, again, I hate to say take the easier way out, where we just like, oh, let's do it. I prefer taking extra time and getting it. I feel a little more proud of this.
Yeah, we at least got to discuss each item. So, yeah, thank you very, very much. And thank you, staff, for sitting through yet another council retreat. I mean, I hope that you feel like this wasn't time wasted. We appreciate you being here.
Certainly don't.
And thank you for snacks.
And thank you for the snacks. Yes.
So what we're gonna do next, is one of the key things that we've talked about when we brought these forward is having something that is engaging for the community to follow along. So we're calling it a bingo card, and the reason for that is B is for budget, I is for inspired, N is for new, G is for growth, O is for opportunities, because when we check items off, the community wins. So what we're gonna do is have this card that will be on the website. They're a little more detailed. Those items will be checked off. We'll also display those in places like the board we have here in council. And then that way, the community can follow along as we're going through this process and checking off these projects under these.
Are we playing Four Corners or Blackout?
Is there gonna be,
We wanna get to Blackout,
so just so I'm clear, so on the website, this is gonna go away.
Yes.
Is there going to be at least a sentence or 2 description? Like I said, some of these I got called topsoil infill, and people were like, "What was that?" I'm like, "Gosh, I don't remember." To be honest with you.
I totally agree with you, Councilmember, and that's why we wanted to have the conversation today, because we've added the descriptions to try to
Okay.
provide more
It
detail.
doesn't have to be a page, just a
No,
sentence or
but
2.
just below it to
The bullet
provide
point.
info,
Okay.
yeah. I
Awesome.
agree. And the other thing is that then we can also link to, like, some of the engineering projects, we can link to the actual project
We have
page,
the bigger
and then people can see that and go, oh, that's what Northeast Seventh is about, okay, now I have the.
Well, like for traffic, we have that link right into our traffic benefit district
Right.
plan, so they can.
Tell them all the good jokes.
So we want to make that a little bit clearer for the public. And then, as we receive new ideas, the big thing is that this administration really wants to bring those to you. So I know you saw some new things today, but that is going to be more of what we are working towards doing, so that you are actually hearing and seeing things, and it's not, hey, I heard from a community member at some meeting that somebody was talking about X, what is that about? That our goal is that we are bringing those to you as council, and that you're hearing about them, able to ask your questions, and that we're having those conversations.
Thank you so
So,
much.
and then we want to work through the new budgeting process and make sure that we're delivering on those measurable successes as we go along. So what my plan is that we will be working on finalizing this document, bringing it back to you as council so that you can officially approve it. We'll do the resolution, and these will be the items that we'll list. Any questions on that?
Awesome possum.
Everybody good with that? Okay.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
So back to you, Mayor.
All right, well, I don't have anything else other than to say thank you all for being here.
And thank you, staff.
Thank you, sir.
And I hope that you all feel better about the process now.
Very much.
Is there anything else you want to add for the good of the order before we adjourn?
Good job.
Does staff have any burning, anything they want to say that didn't come up?
Now is your time. Don't be shy.
Is one of these a terrible idea?
Well, I guess I would just add that I'm deep in the process of developing these capital project sheets, so getting all this feedback right now is very helpful. Because what I'm kind of imagining is, yes, I did. You know, what priority does each project support? And maybe it's several of the priorities. We'll just keep track of that on a project basis.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good thinking.
Very cool.
And also keep in mind that anything that we discussed today that costs money, we'll have to find that money.
Buzzkill.
It's a good thing all of our ideas were free.
So what I'm hearing you say is that we haven't approved spending any more money today,
Not yet.
because we don't have it to approve.
We will have to discuss methods to fund some of these ideas.
Absolutely.
I'm just glad you weren't keeping track of 300 million or whatever.
Oh, it was, but I ran out of zeros.
Grants.
It would be interesting to see what the total.
I got one quick question, probably for David. The form-based code that you were talking about, multi-story, which is a different kind of firefighting in my line anyway. Is it typically mixed use?
Typically, it's mixed use, ground floor, commercial, 4 stories above.
Right.
The idea is you put the form in, and then you put any kind of use you want in there. So you could have a 7-Eleven, you could have a restaurant, all in the same building. The idea is you get the look that you want and the feel for the area. So I can't think of an example of a town that maybe has that, but if you go to a certain density that allows something like that, you can get a certain style of building that carries through the whole area of town. And so for the fire department, you'd have different uses in there. You probably need to think about fire safety, difference between a restaurant versus a retail store.
And typically the 5-story, that's the highest you can go at wood frame construction.
Typically.
Okay.
Right, because if you respond to a commercial or something, you need to know if there are people living in the building.
Yeah. Now typically, you get up that high, they're going to be well protected with fire protection, sprinklers and things like that. But just wood frame going up that high is something we just have to tackle tactically.
And there are a number of cities that have adopted the form-based codes over 8 years. The Congressman of Urbanism has a directory of different cities that have adopted it. A really well-known one is Celebration, Florida. That's Disney, but but there's also other form-based codes that have been adopted by various locales.
Yeah, no, it's neat idea.
I'm excited for the hot tub taxi going to the
All right, well, if there's nothing else, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, that we are adjourned.
Thank you so much.